some indication, including that man there, Xiaomi Mi. We'll talk about him further as we go along this afternoon. But this is a super strong Geelong outfit. Every single line is stacked full of premiership stars. And then you go into the middle of the ground and you see this man coming back, Bailey Smith, the Brownlow medal favourite, who was a late out last week. And I think that would scare you even more if you're an Essendon fan. They're coming in even fresher. Look at those numbers there.
They're ridiculous rankings, aren't they? The level that he's taking his game to this season, and the fact that he doesn't actually have a proper hamstring injury, but they're able to rest him last week, just with a little bit of awareness, a little bit of soreness there. So it's a great position to be in, and not sit there and say, well, we've got to play him because we need to win every single game. But let's manage our players right and have them at their peak for the back half of the season.
And then so you're planning and go, how are we going to go about trying to counter him? You know, I will go to Smith. Well, then you've got Holmes, who was just outstanding in the absence of Smith last week. Max Holmes steps up and has 40 touches for the first time. His numbers are through the roof. 1 and 8 for metres gained. They're both aerobic animals. So, centre field you suspect will go to one. Don't know which one it is, but good luck. The other one then has to also be taken into account. They're beautifully served through the middle of the ground. They've got great balance inside and out. And it's going to be a challenge for the Bombers.
Well, it's amazing when you look at with the injury crisis Essendon have had. They are unveiling their 9th and 10th debutants for the season.
Yeah, it's great to see, isn't it? There's Xiaomi Mi. He's a key forward or a key position utility from Subiaco, been playing in the VFL with Richmond. Pick number 6 in the mid-season draft from Subiaco prior to that. 20 years old, 198 centimetres, and then you bring in a man that's 203 centimetres, a 26-year-old from East Fremantle, and that's Lockie Blackiston. More a ruckman, but by necessity might have to be a key defender, guys.
Yes, exciting. Xiaomi Mi there has a connection with Fox. You wonder what's Dermot Brereton, the great man, doing in the Essendon rooms. Well, his beautiful partner, Julie, is the mother of Archer there. So that's our connection. And Lockie Blackiston, a big tall boy, we suspect might have to go back. But this is almost sacrilegious. The Essendon supporters looking at Dermot in the rooms going, what's he doing in there, that man? It is a challenge for this football club right here. They're beautifully led. There's no question about that. Zach Merritt's a star. He's a star of our competition. But
so I want you to put your coach's hat on, because he's been used in different areas, and they've got others through the midfield, but you've got Sam Durham out suspended. It's time just to let him loose in the middle of the ground again.
I suspect he will go back through the middle, Jace. I mean, they've been trying to manipulate matchups. They've been trying to share the load with Durham and Parrish and Corgel, who's had a really good run of form in recent times, but I think he's going to be needed through the middle against this jam-packed Geelong team.
Well, he only had 14 disposals last week. It was the equal lowest he's had since his debut year in full games.
That'd be even more reason.
Chicotta had him and was able to blanket him at quarter time. They moved him around, as we showed there. So.
He's straight in the middle.
Yeah, and you don't think he's going to get a free run either. I'd suspect it'll be Mullen probably that will go to him, or even O'Connor. And this is the other concern. This offence of the Geelong Football Club is just scary. So there's the young man Lockie Blackiston on debut, going down to the goal square to take up the match-up with Shannon Neal. So challenges everywhere. They'll have a crack, the Bombers. They're young. They're going to have to, but gee.
Centre field standing next to Bailey Smith. You've got O'Shea Smith, you've got O'Shea Mullen, as you said, Gaz. He's next to Zach Merritt, also Holmes and Caldwell in the middle with the ruckman.
And that gives you an idea about how stretched they are. That's Pryor that's picked up Patrick Dangerfield at the moment. So he's got a challenge on his hands. Mullen versus Merritt. Big night, big game for these two teams.
4th place Cats versus 10th place Essendon. Chris Scott versus Brad Scott in the coaching box. Game 1001 between them, and they're playing in coaching days. The Cats in the last 4 games coming in with red hot form behind them. Stanley against Goldstein, who turns 37 on July 1.
Sure what sort of runner Will Setterfield is, but we'll find out. He's got Bailey Smith.
Goldstein's got the footy, looking for someone to hand it off to. It is Setterfield, who reacted well. There's the dash off halfback provided by McGrath. High ball, Stewart there to defend. Wright came out with great presence. Got the ball to the front, kick out of there for the Cats. It's not going to be taken immediately, but now McGrath can have another go. Just revs things up a little further, so the kick should go deeper, but Geelong defence well settled. Footsales doesn't mark. He does draw the contact and the free kick against Guelphy, and can play it back to Well, he had his choice, didn't he, between Henry and Stewart.
Just drops off the wing. Mark Blitzarves does it so well. Pops back into the hole. Got a great kick inside 50 from McGrath.
So the Cats off the half-back flank. Going on to O'Sullivan now, back across.
Max Holmes is sitting there on his own. The man that's had 40 last week.
Takes a bounce immediately into the metres gained area. Sends it down the line. Blitzarves, he was marking defence. Now he marks up on the half-forward line in Fablois. Hands it off and just dabbed inside. And there was plenty of options. Reece Stanley marked tight on the line.
And there's the challenge for young Lyle, who played his first game last week. He started on the wing on Mark Blitzarves. So as you said, drops back, takes the intercept mark in defence. Then he's taking the contested mark forward of the wing. And then they deliver the ball inside 50. So there's going to be a steep learning curve for a lot of the young Bombers today.
Into his 17th season, the ruckman. 3 goals for the year. To open the scoring. The number 1 on his back. It's a good-looking effort. He shapes it back superbly, but it's got the carry on his defenders arrive at the last moment.
With Goldie come drifting across the top and got a hand to it. He's going to have to get his running shoes on too. Reece Stanley's a great athlete.
Roberts back to Martin. They say, oh, there's danger in that kick. It was short, and it really give Pryor much of an opportunity.
Yeah, it wasn't a great option. I mean, he had a man right on him as well, so that kick had to be perfect.
Neil doing the ruck work against Goldstein. A bit of holding, and Goldstein looking for reassurance from the umpire.
So Guelphy's trying to take responsibility for Tom Stewart.
Quickly off to Clark, and then a tangle on the wing. Dersmer and Dempsey. That's a mouth-watering contest, that one. Dempsey sends it in, and Manor is able to collect the pass quite comfortably.
Yeah, it's a difficult one, and young Angus Clark is standing in mark, so he receives the hand pass from Goldstein because he wants to, they want to take the pressure off Goldstein. They don't want him delivering the footy, but he runs himself in trouble. All of a sudden has to kick across goals to the open side to a contest. Dempsey's good enough to win that, courtesy of the free kick, and then here's the quick rebound.
Late start to the season, but he's making up for lost time. Is Sean Manor. 12 goals already. 12-8, as you can see. For the opener at the MCG, Sean Manor has to kick it 55 metres. And he's done it. And the Cats are away. Essendon have been really poor starters, so that's not the start they needed.
It's not, but this is why we admire this Geelong side, and this is the difference between sides that want to get to where they are. They do turn it over in their front half, but look at this. Straight away, the options everywhere, and the kick's good enough to hit them up. I mean, how many times do we watch games and bemoan the fact that teams go back inside 50 and take the wrong option or hack it somewhere else? And he would probably, if there's 6 options inside 50, the defenders are thinking Sean Manor's probably the last of those options. But this is what happens. Everyone has to be dangerous. Everyone presents in this Geelong side, and the best option's picked. And that was picked then by Ollie Dempsey, and they get a goal as a result.
Minus 141 across the season in first quarters. Essendon ranked 18, so they're the worst starting team in the competition. Stanley and Goldstein towards Smith looking for his first possession. Just hacks it off the ground effectively. Pryor in front of Dangerfield, squeezes the kick, makes it a bit tough for Goldstein. Right up Merritt, scooped it up, and now they send it on the outer wing. Away is Dersmer, piercing ball forward is really good. On the stretch was Archer May, got his first look at AFL football. Martin back towards May, who slipped. Well to evade. Now to Gresham from the pocket. Sends it towards the sticks. And it's a wonderful finish.
Exciting to see young Archer May involved in the build-up too. So he comes out of the lead, doesn't get the mark, but he stays involved, which is exciting. And then ultimately gets the hand pass out and gives the scoring opportunity there for Gresham, and it's a really good finish. He's down on his knees, there's the big hand pass. That's a goal assist.
It is. He's been waiting his whole life for that moment. He hit the ball really hard as a leading option, and then he did the splits trying to get his hands on the footy, and that was good enough for his first touch in the game, or in AFL football, to end up in a genuine goal assist. So well done to that young man. It's a nice finish too for Dave Gresham.
Goal to Manor, goal to Gresham. The Bombers to almost tie things up again. Early stages, Goldstein and Stanley while they're fresh. Stanley the tap, straight to centre field. Smith turning tackle for now. Stanley does it to Holmes, they were ready for him. Withering tackle from Nick Martin.
Seeing whether Nick Martin's getting some attention as well. He was outstanding last week.
This team fends it down. There's Parrish's kick, the extras with the Cats and Guthrie. As courageous as ever, didn't take the mark. Guelphy swooping. Parrish just pops the kick, and here comes Caddy. Oh, he would have liked to have swallowed that one, and probably should have. On the back foot, the Bombers a little here. Martin's able to shake off close. Loose ball, Guelphy again. Stanley was good, but not good enough to stop them. As they work the perimeter, Kako, a little give back to Roberts. Just outside. And now inside they go, and that'll work. They're right on the end.
They did that really well in the end. I mean, they should have had the mark inside 50 with Caddy, who just wasn't able to clunk it. But then there was a chain of hand passes. They looked to be going backwards. They were under pressure every single time, but they didn't turn it over. They had enough numbers in support, and then ultimately they were able to find the good chip kick to Wright on the lead.
16-9 in his 8 games, Peter Wright. 3 goals from 10 disposals last week. Can he be efficient up front? A lot of margin for error, as you saw, just missed a little to the right. Scores a level. The corner resets. Calls the members. His best effort out of full back. Turnover, another opportunity for Martin. Back to Parrish. Martin, renowned goal kicker, keeps it low. Post, so early opportunities for the Bombers.
Yeah, they're doing really well here, keeping in their front half.
Quick break, Holmes. The walking throw, Sullivan. Full stretch to Myers. Delays and then back again to Holmes. So they have slowed them up. Guthrie gets the clear passage, well protected. And look to work the outer wing. Back inside to O'Sullivan. That doesn't help, but as well to get back to his feet. And then back to Myers. Bit of jogging on the spot. And the kick to half forward. Almost landed with Close. Was quick to try and move it away, but Close with the backup, flicks the handball to the inside. Mullen under pressure, but got it to Neil. Cameron leading laterally, and that's where the kick heads. Hit heavy for him. It's over and out.
It's interesting watching Cameron and Dangerfield in the same 50. When Paddy Dangerfield wasn't there, Cameron gets the whole round, really, to do with what he wants. They are a very selfless forward group. They just took each other's space there for a second, so they need to be a bit aware of that.
The players slipping over in the early exchanges. Goldstein grabs out of the ruck, tries to get through Atkins. It's not easy to do. Good tackle applied by Parrish. Back to Goldstein. Meluar. The Bombers move it forward through Merritt. It is to Kako. He's got Caddy ahead if he can get through. Geelong really do well defend and chase. And now Holmes takes a bounce and starts to streak away.
Gives it off to O'Connor. Career best numbers for him in his 9th season. The handballs are chained up. Mullen back to O'Connor. The Irishman collaborate. Manor stripped of it, not penalised. Parrish find out the handball instead to Roberts. And now an angle kick to Daywicks. Into Kako. They look to move it again through the middle.
Runners come through. Sweeping hand pass. Clark puts his teammate under pressure. They bounce back off. It was in and out of the hands of Johnson. Now the Bombers send it the outer side. Through Martin.
And Caddy and Humphries at the moment, it's the matchup they should try and exploit. And they're keen to go forward.
To centre field instead. And plenty of the footy for defensive play. That's his 5th disposal. Pryor plays it wide. This is Johnson on the advance. Goes to Kako. O'Connor had him covered in the air. Striding out is right. Just a matter of who he was going to give it to. He didn't really find the one in the end. Atkins and Guthrie working tandem through the middle. Dempsey fired it out. Dangerfield with the collect. He wanted to find the right man to give it to. And the right man was Close.
In the long sleeves, punching ball to Cameron. Searching Leach. He's brought down after he took the mark.
Not too bad now. Now you've got Neil matched up deep with Pryor, which is a great matchup if he wants to go there.
Look towards the number 33 momentarily. Close is sneaking around in the pocket. And that's exactly where Cameron looks. They're trying to disguise the kick and turn it over.
Sometimes they don't look ahead to find out what sort of matchups they've got. I mean, Caddy at one end against Humphries, you want to go there. You want to go to Neil v. Pryor.
Yeah, I think he wanted Neil to actually lead into the corridor to him, and he was signalling to him, but he stayed deep.
But that's okay, mate. Gee, that's a really good kick.
And from Clark that was, and it's going to come back and quickly. Atkins to Humphries, just on the outside, but he can kick it deep. And Cameron, as though just a little bit out of sorts with the turnover.
Well, eventually you're going to pay the price. So if you keep turning the footy over, these Geelong boys have got so much good goal sense. We're just shelling peas here for Jezza. He does these from 50 out, then like 15, 10.
38 goals, 15 for the season. Goals last week for the first time since round 8 last year. For him, it's a pretty simple equation. And you do wonder how many goals he's thinking might be in store for him today. He has one, and the Cats retake the lead.
Just a little bit hit and miss exiting their defensive 50 at the moment, the Bombers. And if you're a little bit off, you just get punished by a team as classy as the Cats. They put great defensive pressure on. The Smalls were exceptional, working in both facets of the game, defence and attack. And then they get another look at Jeremy Cameron moving into space. You could see they had the holes filled up. And as soon as you miss that target, there's blokes with arms up everywhere. They had Dempsey on the other side of the corridor they could have hit as well, but he just draws the ball, Jeremy Cameron.
You see Laverty, who's in the goal square, covering, or he must have taken someone else at this stage, because there he is just in the background with Brad Close running into the goal square, leaving Roberts' responsibility. So it's a little bit untidy the first 10 minutes. He's up to 39 for the season. Jesse Hogan's had a big day out as well, but kick 6, Jezza's got his nose in front.
Atkins extracting. Smith, third possession. Setterfield's had 6 early. Blackiston, Roberts, Myers dangerous anywhere inside 50. Caldwell, clean. Just misses Johnson on the hand pass. They need to be careful here, the Bombers. In the end, Roberts has still got a bit of work to do. Lawale to Parrish.
Didn't that come back quickly off Pryor into Blitzars, and it's gone out on the full. That's one way of getting it out of defence.
Kicked it into his boot. Hey, Lockie Blackiston's first one-on-one contest was a good one. Took front position, got the hand in, brought it to ground, and followed up. So well done to him.
True age recruit from Western Australia.
Forward pressure for Geelong is elite. So if you miss, which the Bombers have done a few times, you're going to pay.
Pryor down the wing. Now, right, potentially, and will get the free. There wasn't a lot of contact, and
I thought he got,
it's gone the other way.
I thought he got helped into that.
Okay. Tries to send it to Smith. Martin was ready to intervene, and the umpire says that's fine. Caldwell got it and go. Since his return has been pretty good, Caldwell.
So this pressure here, Anthony, in this front half of the ground is outstanding. So the 2 goals they've kicked so far from 4.5 intercepts, and he hasn't made any contact at the footy there, and that's the reason for the free kick.
That's a good spoil. He gets all the ball first, Nick Martin.
Already up to 8 disposals, the number 37 for the Bombers. Debuted against the Cats and kicked 5. Good serves. Patches it out to Smith. There's Martin. Wright's got a bit of room. Misses on the hand pass. Could hurt them coming the other way.
They wade their way through. Zach Guthrie started the chain. Still running on the inside of Manor, who's missed Cameron by about 10 metres.
And a really poor decision. It was a 2-on-1 in the end, and he had Shannon Neal coming straight at him on a 1-on-1 lead.
The Bombers reset again. They spread it to the outer side. To Pryor. Now Johnson. Left shoulder taped up. Now to Dursby.
Prepared to go back to Roberts, who was risk involved a lot. Stengel, who bounced back to form last week with 4. To Myers, and Cameron puts it into his chest. He's got a line up for number 2.
That is the third, if he kicks this goal, it's 3 from 3 goals that have come from 4.5 turnovers and intercepts.
I can only assume he didn't see him, Gaz, because you just wouldn't have kicked the ball if you knew he was anywhere in the area. That was Dursma, and poor old Jane Laverty. He just looked that way and shook his head.
Well, he'll be shaking it all evening if they don't tidy up their exits out of the back half.
He hasn't been to blame, really, for either of the first 2 Jeremy Cameron goals, which have now been registered. And the Cats get out to an 11-point lead. Goal number 40 for Jeremy Cameron.
This is what I admire about the Geelong team, Chief. You look at it, and the talent is so deep, but this is the work rate that they bring in this front half, and then they all get a little lick and a bit of piece of the pie there. So it was Stengel that does the defensive work. Now he'll get his chance where he gets on the end of it. But he sets this up. And then Myers, the best deliverer, probably inside 50 in the competition. And all Jesus is doing at the moment is finishing him off. And they know that. They recognise that it's not Jeremy Cameron going, that's not really me. I'm just kicking it through the big sticks. That's what's happening at ground level and the pressure they're bringing.
So many dangerous players in that forward half, and I love the fact that not one of them has even a thought of selfishness in his body. When you have a look at the best turnover sides, they're in the top four. It's a nice stat to have. But they love sharing the ball around, all those forwards that can kick goals themselves.
You love to be a forward with Brian Myers going inside 50 towards you. Atkins does really well. Smith throws it on the boot as quick as he can. Neil subbed out with an ankle last week. Good to go this week. Close. Dangerous around the goals. Here comes Stengel. Hand pass. Manor can finish and does. But right here the Cats. And once again the Bombers' first term is not looking too good.
Well, if the ball lives in Geelong's front half, they're going to kick a mighty score. I'm looking for little positives in amongst it, goes for the Bombers. And again, it was the contest in the air from Blackstone. I thought he was good. A couple of one-on-ones against Shannon Neal. He hasn't intercepted the ball, but he certainly brought it to ground and he stopped his man from getting it. But then have a look at the Geelong runners. They get forward side of their opponents. There's 4 Bombers players trailing them on the defensive, on the attacking side, have to be defensive, so you've got to be goal side. You can't allow them to run out like that. And they'll do this all day.
There's some young half-backs and defenders that are playing their first footy and, they're amongst their first games in the back half. And I'm just wondering whether young Angus Clark, the boy that kicked 3 on debut, who's having to go back, so it's not his fault, but he's getting a little bit lost in traffic at the moment, which can happen when the ball's coming down like this.
Back in the middle. Extraordinary achievement by the two coaches. 1,001 games between the Bombers surging out of the middle. It's all about the kick now from Merritt. Stewart playing in front. Good play by Guelphy to keep it bubbling. Caddy almost. Kako try and bust through. Guelphy takes the shot. Hits the mark. Need to make the most of their opportunities. Guelphy does, playing that defensive forward role. He gets the chance, he has to convert.
It's a good effort. It's a centre-bounce goal. So, against this side who are going to score plenty, you've got to take your opportunities when they present themselves. And it was Zach Mayer at the end of a Cornwall-Parish combination. And then when you go in, you're just going to have to work hard. And as we said, Guelphy's got responsibility for Tom Stewart, which is always going to be a challenge. Tom Stewart puts him on his backside there with a bit of a push. And they just scramble it. There's no science in that. That's not a drawn-up play. That's just a forward line that has to get to work. And that the onus and responsibility is when it's your turn, you've got to go and keep going.
It's just persistence. Persistence is what it's all about. As you say, when it's in your area, you give everything you got until the ball's not in your area anymore. That's what they did then.
Martin 10, Holmes, Smith 5 apiece. Setterfield with the job on Holmes early. And Connor brought to ground.
He's a very good player, Nick Martin, of which teams are very much aware of. And I know that Merritt started with Mullen, but I wouldn't be surprised if he rolls over on the mark.
Caldwell bursts through the stoppage. Sets Saar from 55. Wright's got a bit of physical work on him, and DeConing plays it nicely.
They're what they've got to get more value from when they break out of the middle like that.
Jack Martin, another Martin out there, had the stretch down low, playing his second game for the Cats. Just a dozen possessions last week. Started really well, probably ran out of puff a bit. Kick along the wing to O'Connor, who decides to fist. Goldstein ran up the handball as he went along. There's O'Connor laid out flat. Johnson, creative. Gresham back to Pryor, gives to McGrath. In the nick of time to Johnson, who continues to impress. Dabs the pass to Gresham, and the Bombers ready to enter the forward half again.
Low piercing ball, well weighted. Transition to Kako. Here's the important ball. Sends it deep forward. Good marking contest by the Bombers. Comes to ground level. Right. Across to Caddy. Just didn't get enough on it.
Going okay here, the Bombers. They've had 11 inside 50s, so they've got field position. They're really competitive.
Jack Martin, plot number 3. Waited to get his body right. And a highly skilled player, will be well valued if the Cats can keep his body in the right condition in the back half of the season. Smith returns it to him. Ex-Sun and Blue, and off to Smith again. More metres gained along the wing, but not the way he would have liked it, as it's straight back to Goldstein.
Started well, Goldstein, for the Bombers. He's playing involved in everything he's going to need to be.
That's the only knock on Bailey Smith at the moment, is his kicking. He's turned it over again. He's going at 60%.
Oh, that's the check.
There's another turnover. Martin, pinpoint to Atkins, thought about the loop hand pass. Now spreads it to the outer side. Impressive Humphries. Long ball towards Dempsey on the wing.
He'll take the mark and be thinking about what's next. Holmes, they have the overlap into the pocket. Dangerfield was the long option, but he goes short of the Stengel.
And sometimes it's just about take the easiest option. Dangerfield's going to draw a lot of footy. But as you said, Stengel in space, an easy chip kick. And the great thing about the Geelong forward line is you'll get 5 different options every single time you're streaming forward. All you have to do is pick the easiest one. They will present.
Kicked 3 goals last time out against Essendon. Big milestone for him next week. His 100th game, Friday night lights against Brisbane. Might be slightly overshadowed by Patrick Dangerfield's 350th, but what a contribution this man has made to the Cats. Highly skilled, premiership player. Just off line.
Just touched the post going through, I think. Looked very good off the boot.
Zach Johnson in game 3, tasked to bring the ball back in.
4 uncontested marks inside their forward 50, so when they go in, they're very precise, the Cats.
On the line towards May, Kako, Humphries, bustled off the ball, Henry not so. Looks to Smith, does well to gather it, spits it out wide, was really clever. Jezza wants his left, gets it that way now, squeezed it to Myers. Now they need to be red hot here, the Bombers. Can hit targets inside 50, almost at will, this man. Look for Dangerfield.
Courage.
Really good, that was Archer May coming back with a flight.
Pryor, but there's a clump of Cats out here on the wing, and O'Sullivan sends it all the way back into the middle to Jack Martin and around and out to the southern side. Stewart next along the line. Guthrie. Dangerfield leads sharply into the pocket. Reece Stanley's drifted into the square, and Neil's there as well, so there's height to contend. Stanley almost. O'Connor into the post.
The Goldie's out here at centre half forward. He's just lagging a little bit behind Stanley. Stanley's going to ask the question of him aerobically throughout the course of this afternoon.
Thought young Archmate did a great job there. He presented for the kick out, then stayed down, went back with the flight for the spoil, and then picked up Jeremy Cameron, releasing the Verdi to help out.
Done some impressive things. A goal assist with his first disposal. Good mark by Peter Wright.
Just paid a block. Gee, that's a shame because it was a good contested mark.
Wasn't against Wright.
No.
Good start, dishes by hand. Bailey Smith coming up to possession number 9, so he's really getting involved now. Oh, look at big Shannon here, just runs out and splits the pack.
We're talking about Bailey Smith's disposal, which is, as I said, one of the few knocks on him. That's elite. He goes onto his left then, and that kick's got to be perfect because you turn it over there, you're opening up the whole ground, but just gave it enough height, and Blackiston just trailing in there. Those boys that are playing the back half here are under siege at the best of times, so this is a very talented footballer here.
Goes in 24 of his last 29 games, just looks fit. Does Neil, off an ankle last week, straight through the middle. Cats have got 5 in the opening turn.
And one of the great things about Shannon Neal is he's such a good converter of the opportunities. He doesn't need many. A beautiful set shot. He looks so relaxed, keeps everything beautifully aligned, kicks through the ball. Makes it look very, very easy. This is the kick you're talking about. Maybe he's a left footer in disguise, Gaz. Bailey Smith on the left to the lead. Beautifully weighted out in front of Shannon Neal.
You know what I also love about just sitting here watching Geelong play is a bit of a joy. They very rarely go to the spot inside forward 50 that everyone thinks they're going to go to. If you think back to that Jeremy Cameron where he went one way and then stopped, came back, went inside again, and that was Bailey Smith who went one way on his right foot. So the defenders start to go boundary side, then he swings back on his left into an open leading lane for Neil. They're unpredictable when they go forward, the Cats.
15th goal for Shannon Neal, subbed off in the second quarter last week with an ankle injury, but it was okay. And he's out there today. Faulty handball from Neil, at least it wasn't received from Merrill, I should say. And then Nolan it is that holds things up. So it's just a small territory game. They lead by 18. Goldstein with the tap, Cats swarming, Mullen fires it out to O'Connor, and Neil's on the bike again. blasted of the football.
It's another beautiful kick on the left foot.
6 inside 50 uncontested marks. Mate, you can't help it, Mark, when you get delivery like that.
Well, their retention of the ball when they go inside 50, it's up over 80%. The quality of the kicks going inside, and that's from O'Connor on the left, is beautiful. And conversely, the other end of the coin, it's 40%, the Bombers.
The bag of 5 against the Bulldogs. A few weeks ago, Shannon Neal, he is a big kick. How big? That's how big. 2 goals for Shannon Neal. Entertaining opening term. Particularly, I guess, for Cats supporters, it's now a 24-point advantage.
Yeah, well, from a goal point of view too, I think this guy could be anything, Shannon Neal. I think with game time, you've got the 2 foils, you've got Dangerfield and Cameron who are going to occupy plenty of opposition, the defence's attention. And if this bloke ends up getting in the 3rd defender, and this is not a knock on Blackiston, please don't take it that way. He's a young man who's just finding his feet in his first game, so it doesn't matter who the defender is right now. The delivery is so good. But I think the upside for Shannon Neal is through the roof. And look at the size of him. As a matchup, it's a nightmare because you've got to worry about Dangerfield and Cameron, and the leftover for Neal might pay a big, big price.
They kicked 9 goals in their win over the Suns last week at home. Geelong have already got 6 in the opening term and don't look like they're done yet. Extracted by the Bombers. O'Connor read it perfectly in front of Martin.
So he's got Mark O'Connor, so that's the job.
Holmes on the overlap. Look impressive. Humphreys sliding ball forward. Ball down Blackiston.
Did well, didn't he? Stepped in, took the mark off to Merritt. Keeps it tight, gives it to Martin. Full stretch. Initially looking to lay off. Now gets balanced. There's Merritt back along the line. Oh, he swung the kick in. That kept the Cats off guard. Caldwell. Nice little stinger into Gresham.
Excellent.
Well, they're the sort of kicks that they need. And they're the ones that we're seeing at the other end. But to this point in time, we hadn't really seen enough of from the Bombers. And the Caldwell kick was first class. A low dart once it saw Gresham in space. Knew he had to get it there quickly. He couldn't float it. He couldn't chip it. He had to punch it low through the gap.
And the Martin kick to him was equally as good as well. So just a nice 2-kick chain.
2 goals, 1 last week. His best return for the season. Has an opportunity here to put through a second in the opening quarter, which unfortunately he fails. And their first quarters have been disastrous most of the time this year. Regularly given up 5 or 6 goals and only managed 1 themselves. At this stage, it's not horrendous, is it? Well, it's a good footy, but
it's not hard, but you've conceded 6 and you can't afford to miss it from 30 out directly in front.
Humphreys back and across from whence it came Stewart. So this will be Smith's 10th disposal. Pops it out in front of Holmes. Guthrie, what a player he's become. We get it on the overlap. Back to Holmes. Ignores Smith. He's happy to switch it way back over to the other side and O'Connor.
Pauses only momentarily. Myers actually hangs on since returning from his concussion. He's been getting plenty of football. Brian Myers averaging 24 disposals a game over the last month. Back to Stewart. As Jason mentioned, not any different first part of the year, but he too hitting 4.
We've got Todd Goldstein playing full-back on Jeremy Cameron at the moment, so it'll be interesting to see if the ball can make it down there just to give us a look at.
Misplaced ball made Guthrie's effort even more courageous. Probably that it needed to be really. Off to Smith again. Possession 11. And no one can't hang on to the good work from Setterfield. Back over the boundary line with 18 seconds remaining.
Oh, he's gone down in there. Let's see if Jaden Verne get back in.
Cats always use Smith when he's the running option in. They really like to get the ball in his hands.
He's up to 11 possessions, Bailey Smith.
Stanley taps to advantage. Dersma. And Dempsey, that's a nice battle. A couple of high flyers. Here is Settersfield. They send it back the other way. And as far as Guthrie. An entertaining first turn. The Cats bang on 6. They do. A couple to Cameron, and a couple to Neal as well, and a couple to Manor. So they've split it, and they lead Essendon, who have struggled in opening quarters. Smith's had 11, Martin has 12. Quarter time here in the country game. The Cats 6-3-39 lead the Bombers 2-4-16 by 23 points.
All right, welcome in everybody. Saturday afternoon football here at the MCG. The Essendon Bombers taking on the might of the Geelong Cats. I tell you what an opening quarter. It wasn't a bad opening quarter there from the Cats, was it? 6-3-39, leading the way. It's at 20, 19, 23 odd points. No, it's a little bit more. Yeah, 23 points, the Cats. Tell you what, Essendon actually weren't too bad in that opening term. I think this game is like watching the student versus the teacher. Essendon looked, well, they didn't look too bad coming off half back, but then their decision making and their skills were just letting them down. And the difference with the Cats is they are skillful, experienced, and they don't often make mistakes. They make good choices, a lot of composure about the Geelong team, and they make the right decisions. Their forward line opening up nice, working for each other down forward, the Cats, kicking straight, 6 goals, 3 in the first term. Tell you what, this could be a decent scoring game for Geelong if they continue on this way. Well, the Bombers, however, I'll tell you what, they're missing some opportunities when they get them. 2 goals, 4. They've missed a couple of easy shots. The last one was about 30 metres out. It's just the slightest of angle and misses. You can't miss your goals when you got the opportunity. When you're playing a team like Geelong, who look like they are absolutely on song today. Jeremy Cameron in the action, absolutely. Geelong look like top 2 then. Well, it's quite possible Geelong top 2. You just never know. I tell you what, the thing is when Geelong play the real decent team that put real pressure on, that can find them out as well. But they've got to play a good team. Like the Pies, Eddie. Like the Pies. And all. But I tell you what, Geelong, they are definitely looking like the teacher out there. It's like Mr. Miyagi teaching young Daniel. Cobra Kai style. There we go. Wax on, wax off. Hey, shouty, Addy G, welcome in. We'll be looking forward to your game next, the Fremantle North Melbourne game. Of course, Game Board, the famous Game Board, shouty, Emmanuel. How you going? Welcome on in. There we go. We just had a few in there so far. Thanks for the 30, 40 odd viewers tuning in. Before I go any further, let's just have a look at the ladder prior to this. Good result in the last game, of course, being played just before this one when the GWS Giants had a nice win over Brisbane Lions, 107-96. So that gave Geelong an opportunity if they can win today. They'll go into second spot. Geelong played 13 games, 9 wins, 4 losses, a nice percentage, 126. Sitting on 36 points. And, of course, the Bombers, well, this is one of those games the Bombers, they can't really let slip because if they do, they're a game out, but they're a game in percentage. They really want to be on that 28 points. If we stick that live ladder on, the Bombers are losing percent. Geelong will creep up there on top. Hey, let's just have a look at some of the ins and outs because I didn't get to do that prior to the game. For Essendon, Lachlan Blackiston comes in. Archer May comes in, going out. Ben Hobbs, Sam Durham, new player. Blackiston and Archer May, of course, the 2 new coming in. The sub, Archie Perkins. We've got the debut game for both players. That's the only milestones. And, of course, for Geelong, a massive in. Coming in, Bailey Smith. There we go. Geelong Cats fans will be loving seeing his nice blonde locks flowing in the air as he's strolling down the centre wing. Ted Closey going out for the Cats. Mitch Duncan is the sub there. There are your lineups. We'll just go and have a little bit of a look at some of the goal scorers so far. As I said, Shannon Neal got 2 looking good. The big man down there, Sean Manor and Jeremy Cameron. 3 players already with multiple goals there for the Cats, all with 2. As I said, Cameron looking absolutely primed for today for a big game. Guelphy and Gresham, the only 2 single goal scorers there for the Bombers. As we tick over to the ball magnets, what's happening out there? Nick Martin, he's going quite nicely for the Bombers. Some would say probably the Bombers, one of the Bombers' best players with 12 possessions out there in the opening term. Bailey Smith for the Catters, he's the best for the Cats on 11. And Jackson Pryor also 11 there for the Bombers. All right, Maxi Holmes. It'll be interesting to see how Maxi Holmes go. He polls big in the disposal count normally. One of the stars for the Cats. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes. Funnily enough, though, the big man for Essendon, Todd Goldstein's up near the leaderboard. He's on 8, 4 hitouts, 3 clearances already. So he's done reasonably good in the opening quarter. Has Goldie. Let's keep on just rolling down there a little bit. Manor just to 4 disposals, 4 kicks, as I said, 2 goals for him. Kako, well, a little bit quiet, as I said. He looked reasonably okay, but he's just trying to overuse the ball. He needs to make quicker decisions, and of course that'll come when he gets a little bit more experience. But he certainly does look a live wire down there for the Bombers. All right, let's keep on rolling down. There we go. Paddy Dangerfield, the star man. He's only had the 1 disposal, 1 handball. All right, let's get back. Let's get back down to the game where they've just bounced the ball. 23 points the margin. Geelong leading.
Ball on the angle. Kako didn't get the bounce he was after. Humphries knocks it away. Now the pursuit for the footy. Kako turned his body beautifully. There's a host of Bombers on the charge. Guelphy provides the protection for Merritt. The handball. Day Wicks up against the boundary. Well, they've made the shot pretty darn difficult.
Yeah, and that's one that if you have your time again, you probably think I can centre that ball and keep it alive and give other players an opportunity, perhaps a better percentage to score than kicking the miracle goal from the pocket.
Holmes working deep in defence, coming up for his 9th disposal. An up and under. Out of wing, Stanley makes a good fly, can't complete the mark. Kako being busy. Somehow he gets the ball out to Daywicks, now Merritt. Up and under inside 50, looking for Wright. Stewart just got in front of Stewart, did well there, Wright. But as is typical, Tom Stewart wins the contest and the Cats will drive down defence.
O'Connor just a territory taker more than anything. Stengel waited for the drop of the ball. There was crumbs to be had and he was ready. They work in tandem with Smith again a couple of times. Equal numbers at half forward and Neil just too tall. Jabs the kick to Dangerfield. Magnificent hands to Cameron. Number 3. We'll watch that again and be amazed.
Well, that starts over on centre wing, so you wonder why Bailey Smith's important to this side. They know his running capacity. They, as Howie alluded to, they'll give it the footy every time. So the little 1-2 out on centre wing, just share the ball, and then you see this. This is the imposing figure of Neil. Not a great kick. How good is the pick up here and the give? The pick up and give from Dangerfield to Cameron is as good as you're going to see. No fumble. So this is the start of it. 1-2, bang. I think it was Zach Merritt, who should know better, probably has to stay with him, but you get a good look at this. You don't get any chance here. You've got to be clean. So you talk about clean, that's as good as it gets.
It's just the efficiency inside 50. I'd go back even further. There's a really good kick from Merritt inside 50 to Peter Wright, who has the advantage over Tom Stewart. Should take the mark. He's got to be taking that mark. All of a sudden you don't, and look what the Cats do to you going back the other way.
Since the 18-team competition back in 2012, Tom Hawkins led all comers with 689 goals. Jeremy Cameron just equalled him. Gee, they've been blessed, the Cats. Out in front of the Coleman, already 3 for Jezza. Free kick in the middle.
Players were running both ways that time because they didn't know which way the free kick was going.
Stanley sends it deep. Look out for Neil coming from behind. Provides a Shepherd and Blitzars. They've got options everywhere up forward, the Cats.
Well, they're 2 debutants were in that contest.
Yep.
Oh, sorry, Blackiston.
Second game.
Luau was the second game against Blitzars and Neil.
Short. And he's on it again.
Well, I have a feeling he might have an appetite today, Jeremy Cameron. He's thinking there's a big number here. And he'll give his goals away as well. But
Goal was last week. There's a free kick. Reversal here.
that won't please him.
Bailey's probably.
Bailey Smith involved with this, I think, off the ball.
Shot from Martin. It had to be. It was too hot in the end. Holmes and the Bombers were left unprotected. Dangerfield over the top. Little pop kick. Oh, here's number 4.
Well, they're just getting it back for Jeremy. But that's twice we've seen today. Nick Martin going for a kick that's just unnecessary. Into traffic.
Well, Jeremy Cameron brought up his 650th goal in round one. Kick 4 that day. He's just kicked goal number 42 for the season. At 700 goals, he's only 10 away.
Yeah, well, that's 6 goals from turnover. 6 of the 8 goals have come from turnover. So this is how it started. This was the reversal. You'll see Bailey Smith here. Just with Setterfield. Can you grab an arm there? No? It must happen here, does it? It's slowly building, Chief. Must be here somewhere.
They're just pushing and shoving. He throws him to ground. That's what it's for.
But they win the footy back on turnover.
But that kick to Roberts, it's trying to pick a hole in between 3 defenders. Has to be perfect. I know he's a good kick, Nick Martin, but find an easier option.
So Cameron have to kick 14
For the day, yes.
not 13, 14.
Tell you what, if it gets to 13, there'll be some news.
Merritt. And the Bombers through Johnson. It's a good ball forward. Stewart only got a hand on Guelphy. Diddler plays on. Dishes by hand. Caldwell within range. Unselfishly drops it towards Caddy. We've got him at both ends. Dempsey, who kicks goals up one end and then takes defensive marks down the other.
Who had the confidence to jump over the top of Nate Caddy and take a mark 5 metres out from goal?
Skips away, kicks towards Stanley out of the wing. Forced to defend in the end. Stengel was there along the wing, just waits the kick. No one needs to bounce. Eventually gets it under his command. Up to the footy manner, but it goes past him. Next line reinforcement provided by Guelphy. Back in defence now. Bombers come away. Blackiston's kick out to the wing. Right v Henry. Henry sprawled out. He had the back up. Humphreys twisting and turning straight away. Got the call from Zach Guthrie out of the wing. And after a pause, they're going to move forward again.
Again, they put it into the hands of Smith coming up for his 14th disposal. Looks to the middle. It's pretty clogged up. So a high ball forward towards Neil. He's an imposing target. Pryor. Look for Johnson. Turned it over to Will Johnson on the return to get his hand in and steal the ball back.
I think this Geelong side's as good as any in the competition to get a sense of the vulnerability of an opposition. And they know now that there's been 5 goals from 4.5 turnover, and they're now just sniffing one out at every opportunity.
Neil up early, was able to hang there long enough to get the tap. Stengel bursting one way, confusing the defenders and maybe himself a little bit there. Goes over the line and out of bounds. 4 goals for Jeremy Cameron, 2 each to Manor and Neil. So the Cats just have 3 goal kickers for their 8 goals. Neil again to dictate turns in the ruck. Caldwell feeding it back. Johnson clearing kick, just bangs it up along the wing, but de Koning was there, so well set and through the middle. And a plethora of options, and he goes for O'Connor.
In the hands of O'Connor, Dempsey's drifted forward to a dangerous area. He sets himself, leaps at the football, marks well in front of Day Wicks. His ability to run forward, this man.
Yeah, but it's such a weapon for the Cats to have 2 really strong marking wingmen in Blitzarves and Dempsey. And they do it at both ends of the ground.
Playing on the wing, he's only had 1 goalless game, round 4 v Melbourne. This one he pops to the top of the square. Stengel is slightly outsized by Goldstein, who mops up.
Right, last time they came down the line, it was both Wright and Caddy who were in the contest and couldn't get a fingernail on the ball. So they've got to be more competitive in the air, those two, when the opportunity presents itself.
Shortest possible legal kick there from Johnson to Roberts.
There's no obvious out here for the Bombers. They've got coverage everywhere.
Well, made a good move, but the kick is longer. Caddy realised that he had to get there and help out. Setterfield had it covered, as it turns out.
That was more competitive from Caddy because he went at it, drew some attention. Setterfield was able to just slide in and take the mark.
So going for the switch here to Laverty. From the southern to the members' side, McGrath. He's got options on the wing. Durza makes a lead. How aggressive does he want to be? Goes further down the line and hits Kaka.
Looks inboard. Desma runs past. Now he goes on that 45 kick. It's aggressive. Gresham makes it nicely. Pokes it forward on the left towards Caddy. And he's just eased under the football by Connor O'Sullivan.
It's a good example there, the difference in the quality of the inside 50 kicks between Geelong and Essendon.
And they didn't do make Caddy any favours then. But he does need to try and harm as many of those contests as he can.
Martin takes the mark on the way out. I think that is one area where they're working on him with Essendon, Gaz, is that he's a bit all or nothing. If he takes the mark, great. If he doesn't, he has to at least make the contest.
And in front spot, he gets pushed under the ball, which is a hard position to take as a forward. Somehow he's got to push back harder and get at least a 50-50.
Dempsey realising the kick was designed for him at the last moment, adapted well. Goes it back for De Koning, and now Caddy's enthusiasm works wonders on that occasion. At least slows the Cats down, disrupts the play. Centre field, De Koning just flipped it up. Tap forward by O'Sullivan Smith. This time it's Parrish that is the obstacle, and he does well. Gets it out of bounds.
It really is a sight to behold to watch this fellow's work rate live. Bailey Smith's capacity to run, his want for the ball and their eagerness to give it to him. He earns his possessions by work rate.
To see his GPS and his top speeds. Atkins. So it's Geelong by 23 at quarter time. They've kicked only 2 goals the term. Cameron's third and fourth. Mr. Koenig, so he's got a bit of a wrist issue there. Keep an eye on that. Atkins applies yet another tackle. Guthrie really clean. Myers can get hand to fist.
He is saw De Koning, he's going to have to come off. We're certainly getting some attention from the medicos. The kick goes the way of Jack Martin. Getting his hands on the ball regularly now. His 8th disposal across to O'Sullivan.
He's getting closer to the business end of the season. Can't afford to be getting injuries that are going to compromise. You saw one today, Brisbane. Really important part of their back half. Jack Payne, let's hope he's okay. Haven't heard, but
Coming down the line. Shannon Neal came late. Spoiled made by Blackiston. McGrath was in there, gets ridden a bit. Debutant.
He competes well in the air, had a big loggy Blackiston. I've liked what I've seen from him. For a man that has predominantly played rugby, the ability to go back and be really competitive in the air as a key defender has been very good.
So De Koning down to the room as if he just caught that shot. Dersma steps through traffic. Parrish, 31 back.
pressure.
To the side last week. Good pressure again. Dangerfield explodes onto it. Sets it looking for Cameron in from the side. He just floats down. Kicks another one and misses. It's about the first mistake he's made all season. Bomber fans let him know about it.
And the funny thing is how playing on wasn't a mistake. He could have run all the way in, but he just kicked it off one step. He bellied the ball.
It was a forward pressure classic again where they turned it over and it was going to be yet another front half goal.
They've been guilty a few times, the Bombers, overusing the ball in defence, drawing that pressure in, putting themselves under unnecessary pressure.
Yeah, don't give Geelong the chance. As I said earlier, they're smelling opportunity here.
Trying to map out a way to get out of defence. Caddy makes himself presentable down the line. O'Sullivan did the job he needed to do. Now on the swing around, it's Smith. Goes for the height of Neal. Dangerfield threatening as well. Sweeping through the Bombers through Roberts. Back to Johnson. Eventually does give to McGrath up against the line. Used the speed, put it on, needed to. Henry and big reach from the back from May. Good effort. Smith again, they collapse on him. Guelphy, awkward, had to be. O'Sullivan again. It's a good contest here.
That contest then, though, was a 4-on-2 in the air. This is the miss here from Ollie
He could have
Dempsey.
run all the way in.
No, it was a classic Ollie Dempsey goal too. But a 4-on-2 in the air, the Bombers just got to work it out a bit better.
He does kick so many goals between 0 and 15. Dempsey.
Wasn't quite Percy Jones running in an open goal. It wasn't far away.
You'd be watching down in Barwon Edge at the moment. Probably a pub, to be fair. Dersma, Merritt, Parrish. Nice little evasive step. Send it towards the wing. Humphries.
Yeah. So now they're just struggling to get really strong representation down the line, and it's not easy against Geelong. You'd go, if I go short, we're under pressure. If I go long, they're taking marks down the line.
Cats have kicked the only 2 goals of this second quarter. Been a lower scoring, tighter affair. Close. Next in line for Geelong.
See, they can go long and slow down the line because they've got such good aerial threats.
Oh, Humphries, an error. Kako. Can he punish? Needed help. He's able to feed it back to Guelphy. It's a 60-metre kick required. It had to do a lot.
That's a goal.
Stayed in. How unbelievable was that?
Tom Stewart's looking at the goal up and say, you're going to signal
It's a
this?
stare off.
They're actually going to call it, I reckon. They're going to call it and see
We're
what
going to have a
impact
review.
it did
We're
go.
going to have a review.
There's an opportunity for Archer May to potentially get a ball for his first shot towards goal, but
Yeah, and that's the issue. I think Guelphy was very quick to have a shot of goal of one step from 55 when he had Archer pushing down to support. There's a road.
Get across. Taylor, can we check if it cost them back at the ball?
It is.
Review complete. Looking at this angle, the whole ball has crossed to the back of the behind line. Decision on the scoreboard.
Tom Stewart knew what was going on. Tom Stewart just stood there and looked at Davey Roden and said, Davey, that's a point.
Ball point.
Doesn't get too many right.
No, it does not. He can do both jobs.
Statisticians busy wiping off those last couple of possessions since the ball got called back.
Stewart on ball to the other side, slick hands. Dempsey Holmes puts it under his arm, runs his measure, gains further metres, makes the task for Neil Laverde, tracked it back and took it nicely.
Stepped in nicely, as you said. Laverde.
If there's no chance to come through the corridor, you sort of figure and go, most sides find a way through. Geelong just fill up that hole in the middle of the ground and make it go down the line.
Bit of right. Listed for Caldwell. Just.
Again, you can see that just keeping them skinny. No chance to go anywhere other than here.
Henry had good sight on that. He comes marching out. Doesn't complete it, but gets it to Humphreys.
It's a great kick.
Yeah, from O'Sullivan.
Just touch kick.
Lying up the forward 50. Thumps it deep. Shannon Neal comes out in front. Stengel. Clark holds up. Needed to. They're still under pressure. Dersma was good to Martin. Now they can whisk it away through centre field. May comes up to present just at the right time.
And the number 26 presented it earlier on by Teddy Richards. Task set for Caddy Stewart, as he so often does, just comes along and kills the football. We saw deconing off earlier on. So what happened to the wrist or the hand region?
He's still down in the rooms too, guys, getting treatment from the medical staff. I suppose the good news from the Cats' perspective is Mitch Duncan, who is the sub, has made no attempt to warm up, so they're just playing things cool at the moment.
It could just be Mitch not wanting to overextend at this stage. 8 minutes remaining in the second term. Manor had nowhere to go. Dersma made sure of that.
Sarah Jones nearly lost a hot water bottle and chocolate down there.
She would have had to pack up and go home if you didn't have those two apparatus.
Robbie would have saved her. Robbie would have thrown his body across.
Back into play, drop short on Stanley. Merritt.
They're holding up. They're just holding up. There's been 9 inside 50s. They've conceded 2 goals. Could be a lot worse. They're defending pretty well about 45 metres out right now, the Bombers.
Neil 2, Manor 2, Cameron 4.
And they haven't lost their appetite for the contest either. So from a contested ball point of view, it's a +1 in favour of the Cats. So they're competing hard. It's just a gap in class. And right now, Tom Stewart's got his perfect roll. He's loose behind the ball. So it's going to be very hard to get their way through.
Parrish steps through traffic. Centrefield forced to kick in an ungainly fashion. Up and under on the left. Roberts, Myers, Parrish, Merritt. Somehow got rid of the footy. Now Holmes to Smith.
He moves it forward to Close. Wants to get involved again. And he does to Myers. Where's the final piece going? Is it long to Neil? No, it's screwed back instead. Up jumps Cameron, not quite. Oh, came through. Snappy hands, but it goes to Dempsey. Little toe to the outside. Cameron off the right boot. Didn't quite have the power as he had on the left.
And we're number 5 for Jezza. Jesse Hogan with 6 earlier on today. Jezza's back on top in the camp. Coleman with his 4 already. Hemmed in the pocket. Bombers forced to go long. Blackiston through his hands and May, the debutants. Another one for Smith. Somehow wobbled it forward to Manada. Instead of field, Merritt steps one way or the other. Close gets him. Brilliant work.
And it's relentless, the pressure. You guys have spoken about it a number of times already. If you don't have your wits about you in the defensive 50, you'll get gunned down. And it can be any one of 6 or 7 players. They all have this mantra that working defensively will lead to other good things in the game, and it inevitably does. They get a shot for goal here because of Close's desperate defensive actions.
99 career goals for the 2022 Premiership player. Drifts out to the right. Good looking contact. 100 goals for Close, and the Cats get their third of the term.
We sound like a broken record, Gaz, but their ability to defend in their attacking 50 is second to none.
Oh, I love it. I just love watching it. I love watching Close and Myers, and they wear it as a badge of honour, and they share the ball. I mean, you wait till Patrick Dangerfield gets an appetite to lay one of these big bone-crunching tackles as well. So, Stengel, the other one, they're just so well drilled, and it's worked for them. So when it's worked for you in the past, then you're more inclined to get at it again, and that's Zach Merritt, the best player for Essendon. So you cut the snake off the head here. It's out to 41 points. They've laboured a little bit for the last 10 minutes, but this also softens up opposition defences as well. It ends up being too hard.
I love the tackle because he pulled his hip, turned him, so he couldn't get a foot to the ball. He's never going to be able to kick the footy.
Another canny draft selection. Stephen Wells and the Cats. 100th goal comes up, but he's more than just almost 1 goal a game goal kicker, isn't he? Brad Close covers so many kilometres up and down the ground, puts that pressure on. Holmes streaking forward straight away. It means danger for the defence. Work through Mullen and now Myers. Full stretch, Dangerfield not quite. Stengel ready to go to work. Flung out towards Day Wicks. Awkward, hurried kick. Cats have it covered. Whichever way it was going to bounce, it was always going to be a little bit unpredictable. And good hassle there from Guelphy and Jack Mark.
And the floor, I reckon, off the back of his heel.
That was unfortunate.
What about that centre bounce from Holmes? That's the capacity to be able to look at traffic and go straight through the middle of it.
He just picked a gap and went sideways, didn't he?
Yeah.
He's had 13. Bailey Smith's up to 22 disposals. Continuing in his rare run of form. Kako. Daywicks. Parrish outside of the foot. Looking for Dersmer and Dempsey. Going the way of that Bonner.
Well, they're going to get even representation for the ball here.
Got to find a good target inside 50.
Archer Mays on the lead, ignores that, so pops it up.
Sure, that's
Looking for Big Goldstein, who's got a couple to beat.
it's just, you get outnumbered, and we're not being overly critical because we understand where Essendon are at and their injuries, but it's a 22 possession massage right there for Bailey Smith.
I wonder he saw.
Brownlow medal voting at the moment.
And he might add to that tally today.
He's on his way.
Wouldn't that be a speech?
Yeah, we have to have the beat button.
Merritt chucked it beautifully. High ball. He's got it.
Oh, you got to pay that.
Oh, you got to pay it.
Where's the sense of theatre?
Give us a shot of Dermot in the crowd, please.
Yeah, even Brad Smith's having a chuckle. That looked to be a good clean grab.
And Brad Scott too.
No, we're playing.
It didn't quite control it. Gee, it was a good effort.
Durham would have paid it.
And Mum Julie there, who's been nervously hoping that was paid.
Atkins got himself balanced when he needed to. Look at Holmes streak away. Cranking things up for the Cats. Contained the kick well, and he finds Stengel.
He's still going on the overlap run, takes a bounce. Holmes running goal the season, even better.
Great
The
shot.
chase down from behind. There's a bomber strewn on the turf. I think it was Settersfield
That was
that did the
Setterfield.
job.
Never gave up at all. You wouldn't give him any hope in hell. That is an outstanding chase from Will Setterfield.
Just a desperate effort to put some pressure on. He couldn't quite catch him enough to lay the proper tackle, but he didn't give up.
Quick kick prior. Headed the bounce to favour right. All did the right thing. Back to Setterfield. Won plenty of plaudits for his efforts today. Guelphy hangs on to the mark. But he has to just wait a moment or two.
There's a little message in all that, though, the Will Setterfield. They should gain plenty out of that, the Essendon players. He's had his hands full all night and refused to concede. Here we go.
Here's the young man. Likes his leg if he's pointing towards the sticks. He's got a man in the square. We'd prefer to see him go back and kick his first ever goal from 55.
Kenny with
Babe
a
Ruth.
pogo stick back there in the goal
I
square.
think he fancies his
Yes.
chances of making the journey.
Did he Babe Ruth there? All right.
Archer May. First of the Bombers' 4 picks in this year's mid-season draft.
What a moment. What a moment.
His dad Joe here, his mum Julie, her partner, a bloke you might know, 5'8", 5'9", Dermot Burton. But it's all about the young man here, Archer May, trying to launch a bomb from 52 and wobbles its way off the boot. It's right on the line. Jason will be called to give it to him, but
How could Tom Stewart do that?
D. Roden said no.
Nearly taken the big contested mark. Nearly kicked a big bomb goal. Just.
I don't think he quite flushed it.
Just
Just
had
got
that float to it though, Gary.
a little bit of helicopter.
Chopperish. Oh, that's worth a review.
Go
That's that.
upstairs.
He goes at it again.
And a jumper tug there.
And nothing to Mullen.
He's a competitor. You can see he's a genuine competitor.
To go to Western Australia to make sure you get that opportunity rather than the 5th or 6th in line in the Richmond VFL. So how much he wants it. So 2.5 to go in this second term. Manor. Oh, thievery there from Manor. Wasn't it superb? He was able to just pop the kick over nicely for Crawford.
That's a bit of what we've been saying all night, isn't it? And we talk about this. Get absolute maximum reward for your possessions. Don't just hand the footy back. They're too hard to get the possession in the modern game in that area of the ground in the contested form. So make sure you get the maximum return, and that was a beautiful finish there.
Kick one and missed one earlier on. A long ball, just to the wrong side of the post. Cats lead is 40 at the moment. The Bombers have worked very hard without kicking a goal in this second term. If Crawford changes that, kicks his second. And that's respectable for Essendon at the margin is 34.
It was a good kick inside 50. They worked it well. The late decision from Zach Merritt just to pull the kick. He then had to go back and trust that he wasn't going to get crunched. Unfortunately, Gaz is here so he can explain what that celebration was about. He was doing the upside down and then vertical goalpost with his fingers, Gaz.
You and I were born in the wrong decade to try and work that out.
I have no idea.
He's playing on Tom Stewart, so this is the other thing. I talk about this all the time. The kicker's got to understand what's going on ahead of the play.
There it is, Gaz. Take me through this.
So that's the... I can't even make anything up, Jason. Someone will have to help you out with that. But anyway, he's on Tom Stewart. Zach Merritt knows he's on Tom Stewart, so when he gets the ball, he has to compute really quickly, and Tom had just dropped off him, hits him up, and then Golfy's good enough to finish.
A couple of them just forgotten what they were doing.
Country boys on country game here, just wandering into new territory.
Centrefield, tight clamp on Smith. Caldwell runs over a teammate. Goldstein, his forward hand pass is stymied now. Holmes takes a bounce, takes a second. Caddy gives chase. Inspired by the Centrefield chase. Close, clever body position to get in front of Johnson. Dishes it off with the blink of an eye. Driving ball from Dempsey. It was slick. Stengel keeps it in. Everyone else stops.
Great
John
job.
says no.
Boy, Angus Clark.
Yeah, did you see the little byplay there?
I did. He's pushed up hard
But
against
then Jeremy Cameron gave him a little high five and said, good spoil, well done. For the young bloke. That was fantastic.
and he's having a bit of a laugh. and a giggle.
Yeah, come with me. See if you can do it again.
Yeah, correct.
Steep learning curve.
Centrefield. Watching Smith. Stengel that was on the move. Bounces back for Dersma. Getting it was one thing, finding a teammate another. Clark about to be crashed into. They've done it well somehow, skating on thin ice. Roberts the clearing kick, energetic caddy, plays it back. Again, just making things up on the fly. That'll work all right to Martin. Back to caddy, you can stride out now. To Merritt, a bounce. Daywicks is deep. May was coming up to the ball, but it got disrupted by Holmes. Sent it through Smith, and instead, it's the Cats on the surge.
On the transition, Stengel does well. to beat a couple of Bombers to bring it to ground. Centre field, trying everything he's got in his bag of tricks. Just getting over the top of Blackiston, and they pile on in the middle.
Gee, that was disappointing. That was a terrific passage, a chain from, and it was Zach Merritt's handball. That was the issue. The skipper just couldn't hit the target. He had a kick inside 50 he could have laid too.
Towards Roberts, centre field. Nearly broke the Holmes tackle. He came back the second time. Did Max. Wobbled inside 50. Stewart just hoovers the football up. Now Guthrie puts it out in space. Martin provided the shepherd for Humphries. They played it pretty well in the end.
Yeah, really smart from Jack Martin.
Sends the ball towards Dangerfield. Out of position, but he's that big and strong. Plays on. Lines them up. Paddy, it just curves late.
I think he knew the time. He knew the time was down in 2 or 3 seconds, so he just turned and went bang. And when you kicked it, you thought, what is he doing?
That was amazing.
He knew what he was doing. Unbelievable.
The Cats kick 3 goals to 1 for the turn. They lead by 23 at quarter time. They're up by 35 points at half time. Plenty more action coming your way on Fox, including late tonight. We go to Montreal, the Gilles Villeneuve circuit on the St. Lawrence River. Go, Oscar, go.
For Piastri, the time is now. Landon Norris, what a performance.
All right, folks, there we go. It's half time here at the MCG. The Geelong Cats, 9-6-60. The Bombers, 3-7-25, 35-point leads here at half time. The Cats putting on 3 goals, 3 in that second term. The Bombers, 1 goal, 3. A lot better effort from the Bombers in that second quarter. Of course, they stemmed the tide of the Cats a little bit. I still think some of the plays there, well, just some of the skills are letting the Bombers down. They're doing a lot of things right. There was a fantastic chase on down the centre on Maxi Holmes, which gave the Bombers a bit of lift in spirits. But we will see, folks. We'll see what happens in the second half. But make no mistake, the Bombers still contesting the ball very well here. They're not giving up here. Anything can happen in football. I know it's 35 points. And it looks like Geelong will go on and win from here. But the Bombers, they always give it a bit of a crack. So we're going to see what happens in the third term. Of course, Bailey Smith on fire. Does anyone wish to purchase grand final editions of the football records? Well, we're not at the grand final yet. But thanks anyway, Calvin. Branko, how you doing? B3's in the house. Of course, Addy G's there as well. Let's go, Bombers. I tell you what, it'd be nice to see the Bombers get up there and just keep the Cats from 2 games from off top, but they're going to be second if they end up winning this game. We'll be back with the commentators not too far away. Let's have a look at the goal scorers. Of course, Jeremy Cameron, well, it looked like he was going to kick an absolute bag. He had 4 very early on in that second term. Isn't that right, Tina? And we thought, oh, you know what? Cameron looks like he could be on song for 10 goals today, but we'll see. He's nearly halfway there, 40% of the way, 4 goals up until half time. Looking good. Danger getting into it late in that final part of the second quarter. Alarose's going for Essendon. Yeah, come on, Essendon. We want a tight game. We want the Bombers to get the first 2 or 3 goals in the third term. We want a game on our hands. We love a tight game. Look, they're still contesting the ball really well, so there's nothing wrong with that area. We'll have a look at the team stats not too far away. Jeremy Cameron tops the goal-kicking table. I think he's on 42 goals for the season now. 7 disposals, 7 kicks, 4 marks, 4 goals. Shannon Neal, a manner 2. Brad Close popped up with 1, of course, for the Bombers. Matt Goofy has got 2, Gresham, and that's it. 2 goal scorers for the Bombers. Disposal getters. Look at the magnet. The ball magnet. Bailey Smith, 24, if you don't mind, umpire. 24 disposals up until half time. He's having a ring-a-ding-ding game. I tell you what, he makes the most of his possessions. Does Bailey Smith. He's a pretty good kick of the ball, links up, chains up well with his teammates. 13 kicks, 11 handballs, 4 marks, a tackle, and a clearance. He just needs a goal or 2 to add to his tally, and what a game that will be. Maxi Holmes starting to pile on the disposals now. He's up to 17 for the Cats. Will Settlefield best for the Bombers on 18. Jackson Pryor 17. Let's run down a little bit. Nick Martin not going too bad for the Bombers on 15. Tommy Stewart 14. Zach Merritt there on 14 as well. As I said, Goldstein not too bad. He's on 11. Not often do you see him get build the possessions, but he's certainly building them at the moment. All right, let me come back to the stats in a moment. Let's just head back down to the commentators and they'll give us a little bit of analysis on the opening half.
Cats have had a huge presence in the air today at the MCG. They look a class above the Baby Bombers, who are showing some glimpses of promise, but one of the contenders for this year's premiership is flexing here at the G. Jason Dunstall and Gary Lyon. It's been a great performance so far.
It has been, Sarah. 35 points, a pretty comfortable margin in favour of the Cats. As you mentioned, there is an obvious class difference. There's a young building team in the Bombers and a very experienced, incredibly professional team in the Geelong Football Club. Gaz, it's hard to go past the Host Plus performance of the first half. Bailey Smith, he's had 24 touches and just run amok.
Quite amazing to be able to see it and watch it live. So coming in as Brownlow favourite, equal Brownlow medal favourite with a week off. Setterfield went to him, couldn't really go with him. He's only had 13 minutes on him, but he's just insatiable. And to be fair, the 24 possessions are accumulation of teammates who just give it to him at every opportunity. And he runs so hard that he just keeps getting it. He gives it once and they give it straight back to him, and all of a sudden he's breaking ground. So he and Holmes again. We highlighted in pre-game just how many metres gained. They're the number 1 and number 8 metres gained players in the competition coming into this match. And again, I think today they'd have to be number 1 and 2. It's quite extraordinary.
Yeah, and you can sit there and say, well, he's getting easy possession, but you've got to give an option every time a teammate gets the ball, and he's the one that's always there. And you talk about those metres gained. He's doing it again today. He's number 1 ranked on the ground. You'll see Max Holmes ranked number 2. There's no surprise to see the Dash brothers there, is it?
Max Holmes might have had another 3, except for Will Setterfield, who just tracked him down. So, no, they've been awesome. And as we said, now this is an inexperienced Essendon outfit, but they're putting them to the sword in the manner that you'd hope a good side would.
Inexperienced defence. Laverty's the only experienced key down there. Blackiston comes in for his first game. He's playing down back. They're finding it hard to stop Jeremy Cameron, but the ball's coming into great effect, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And as we spoke throughout the course of that first half, some of those Geelong boys, when they get the ball in their hands, you just start licking your lips. I'd imagine you enjoyed this sort of delivery through the very best Hawthorn days. And Cameron's got a great goal sense, and he can sniff out a goal from anywhere. He got a little Joe the Goose from Paddy Dangerfield late in the quarter that just set him up. He missed one that he should have probably got, but yeah, you wouldn't be surprised if he walks off this field with a bag of 8 plus. I think there's any doubt about that. And they'll stick to the task. The Blue Day will stick to the task. At the end there, young Angus Clark had to have a crack at him. So that gives you a bit of an idea of just how undermanned they are.
And one of the things we're always impressed with is their ability to work defensively in the forward half of the ground. And when they turn it over, they turn it into scores.
Well, I think this is the thing that impresses us most. We know about how good they are at kicking the footy inside, and we know how good they can finish. But this is the stuff that I'm most impressed with. And they've kicked 6 goals from forward half turnovers. The Bombers haven't managed one just yet, but they're all finally attuned to this. And you've got to be alert, and you've got to be prepared to work really hard, and they all are. Win the ball back in your half, and inevitably when you win it like this, they go back in and hit a target because they're so skilled and they're such on the same page, Chase, that they make opposition teams pay big time.
Impressive first half. So we're seeing lots of young Bombers learning the game, enjoying the experience. But Sarah, it's fair to say the Cats are pretty firmly in control.
They are looking awesome at the moment. Well, the Toyota Good for Footy raffle is back supporting grassroots clubs, raising over $1.2 million across 913 clubs last year. Visit toyota.com.au/good for footy raffle and buy a ticket or register your club to be in the chance to win an incredible prize pool, including 3 brand new Toyota vehicles, private coaching clinics with AFL talent, and this year Toyota are offering exclusive Toyota AFL Grand Final tickets with accommodation and travel included. Now that's good for footy.
All right, so they're off to another break, so we'll come back and have a look at a few more stats, because that's what we like to do. Anyway, here we go. Oliver Dempsey there for the Catters, 11 touches, 6 and 5. The one behind, Matt Gulfey for the Bombers. Nice, 10 disposals, 6. 6 kicks, 4 handballs, 2 marks, a tackle, 2 goals, 1 going nice. Dersma a little bit quiet to say for the Bombers, just with the 10 touches. Isaac Kako didn't do much in that second term there. He needs to lift for the Bombers. He needs to get up and about and around it. Create a little bit of chaos there for the Bombers. That would be nice to see. Just the 9 disposals. We go down and have a little bit of a look at Blixars. Again, a little bit quiet for the Catters, just on 8, which is surprising. Tyson Stengel with the 7. Sam de Koning, 7 as well. Looked like he hurt his wrist a little bit, but seems as though he went down to the rooms, got a bit of treatment, and he was back out. 7 kicks, 6 marks. Peter Wright, he needs to do a little bit. He needs to do a little bit more. He's only had the 6 touches, 2 kicks for the Bombers. The one behind as well, so they need him up and firing. Paddy Dangerfield had long range shot seconds before the siren, looking good off the boot, just faded right through from behind. Just the 5 touches. I'd like to actually see Paddy. I know they're down forward for Paddy at the moment, but I'd just like to see Paddy up around the midfield. Just give him a little bit of touch of the ball, give him a little bit of ball time, get him up and amongst it. Get his hands on it, get the feel of the ball for Paddy Dangerfield, even if it's for like 15 minutes, and then just slide him back down forward, just so he's got a bit of touch. Angus Clark, well, there we go. Just the 5 disposals, 3 kicks. Nate Caddy, well, not doing a great deal either. There we go. All right, let's go and pop over and have a look at the disposal count. Can you believe it, folks? Disposal count, the Bombers plus 14. Wowee, there we go. Plus 27 kicks to the Cats, plus 41 handballs for the Bombers. So the Bombers, well, they're handballing a fair bit today, and I think they're just overusing it on an occasion, sometimes going that one extra handball. They just need to make a decision. I think that's where they're lacking a little bit. Just some of the decisions aren't quite on song today for the Bombers. Inside 50s, 21 inside 50s for the Bombers, 10 scoring shots. So going reasonably well, scoring 1 every 2 times going inside. Just the 3 goals though. The Cats, 29 inside 50s, 15 scoring shots. So they're going roughly the same. So both efficiency is reasonably good inside 50 for both teams, 52, 51. That's pretty good. I don't normally see both teams up in the 50s, and of course, disposal efficiency. As I said, they're just making a few errors with the ball. The Bombers 74, Geelong 80% efficiency disposal. Fantastic. Free kicks, well, the umpire, well, they just seem to like Geelong today. 10-4, plus 6 free kicks for the Catters. Not many, is it, for the Bombers? Just 4 in a half of football. There's the hit-outs all pretty well tied up, 17-18. Cats plus 1. Clearances, the Bombers doing a good job there, plus 7. Centre clearances, Geelong plus 1. Stoppage clearances, Bombers doing really nice around the clearance and stoppage clearances there, plus 8 there. That is fantastic. So as we can see here, folks, as we can see, the Bombers aren't giving up in this game. It's as we're saying, just the experience, composure, the quality of the thought process that the Cats put into it compared to the Bombers. I know the margin is still 35 points, but the Bombers 61 contested possessions, plus 4 to the Cats 57. So they're still going in, still going hard for the ball, and they're not giving up, still performing reasonably well with the Bombers. Just need to make a few more better decisions with the ball. Uncontested, well, they're plus 9 there. Turnovers 33 on season average there. Of course, Geelong under season average, so it's pretty good, 28. Just looking at the marks, there we go, it's plus 26 for the Cats. Marks inside 50, that's what we were saying. Bombers, well, they're struggling going inside forward 50 to find good targets on the lead, open space, whereas Geelong, 13 marks inside 50 up until halftime, already on season average. Tell you what, they look dangerous. They do look dangerous going inside forward 50 every time. Do the Cats. Oh, here we go. All right. 7-1 contested marks. Cats much better in the air. And as we have a look at those tackles, tell you what, the tackle count is very low. not just for the Bombers, but for the Cats also. 21-24, super low tackle count on today's game up until half time. But the Bombers need to put more pressure on. Geelong are pretty good at this. The tackles inside their forward 50. They've already got 6 for the half. Bombers yet to take one. Some of the trouble with Caddy and those players down there, their forwards, they go up for the ball, but their second and third efforts need lacking a little bit to be desired. They certainly need to do those, and their forwards just need to put that pressure on to keep it inside their forward 50. Forward 50 pressure, you do that, you'll create turnovers, and then you'll give yourself an opportunity for another shot on goal, which would be absolutely fantastic. There we go. Hey, folks, don't forget to put your vote in. Who you think's going to win this game so far? We've got 72% saying the Geelong Cats. Roo said hi. How you going? Wowee. Hey, that's a long Roo. How you doing? Who you going for, Roo? Who you going for? We've got 72% already going for Geelong. 28% going for the Bombers. You just never know. Hey, don't forget, folks, the game's already played so far in round 14. Of course, Thursday night football, we had the Western Bulldogs looking very good. 132 defeating the St Kilda Saints to 60, 132 to 60. And of course, Friday night football, I tell you what, if you watch that game or listen in, I tell you what, that was one of the hardest games to actually watch this season. It was the Hawks who trailed all night, apart from the last minute or so, got up 47, defeating Adelaide Crows 44. And of course, today, fantastic result for a lot of those teams running second to ninth was the GWS Giants. Winners over Brisbane Lions, 107-96. Can you believe it? Up there at the Gabba, the Giants did it. There we go. And of course, we've got this match on at the moment. Following this match, folks, we're heading over to Optus Stadium over there in Perth. Of course, North Melbourne selling their home game, giving it to Fremantle. There we go. North Melbourne playing Fremantle over there at Optus Stadium in Perth. Well, it's a game that North Melbourne would like to win, but this is a game that Fremantle cannot afford to lose. If Fremantle really want to stake their claim and be a top 8 side, it's games like this that they must win, and they must win comfortably to show the competition that they are a force to be reckoned with in the AFL season of 2025, especially when your opposition sells the home game back on your turf. So there we go. Fremantle need to win that one. Tomorrow, don't forget, coming up, little past 3 o'clock tomorrow Melbourne time, we've got Port Adelaide taking on Melbourne. And of course, we've got what I think is going to be a really fascinating game to round out the round 14 is, of course, West Coast Eagles over there at Optus Stadium in Perth, taking on the might of Carlton. That's going to be an interesting game. This is a game you might think, geez, Mike, you're a little bit crazy, but how can you say that? But this is a game I think West Coast could probably just about topple Carlton on their home deck, and it's going to be an absolutely fantastic game. I think, if you don't like Carlton, not many Carlton supporters out there, this is definitely one that you certainly like West Coast to win. Hey, Joe, how you going, brother? Well rounded. All's good. Yeah, all's going well. Geez, long time no see. How you doing, brother? What's going on? Hopefully you're doing well there. Yeah, it's AFL football, Australian football season over here, and we're covering a few of the games, Joe. So it's absolutely fantastic. What's happening with you, Joe? Are you at the World Series of Poker? Are you over there in Vegas? Did you make the trip down and having a crack with some of those games? I tell you what, it's fantastic. I just watch Daniel Negreanu's vlogs on his adventures over there on the World Series of Poker. It's just fantastic series. So hopefully you're down there and you're having a bit of a crack at some of those. Hopefully you do well. M King, I love our country game. Come on, Catters. You better believe it. AM King. You know, this is the best game in the world, football. None other game, I don't think, comes close to it. What game comes close to Australian rules football in the world. You know, soccer surely doesn't, because it doesn't. They don't score goals. Gridiron is, gridiron. Well, it's just a little bit slow. Baseball's all right, but a little bit slow. Actually, I don't mind baseball. I watched a little bit of the World Series last year. I think the baseball wasn't too bad. Interesting game. But I tell you what, for atmosphere, folks, for atmosphere, the skill, fitness, the hardness, toughness of the players, gee whiz, you can't beat AFL football. The favourite sport of Australia. Is just incredible athletes out there running around doing their thing. And, for all the folks out there, when you're at the footy game, especially when you barrack for a big team, and you've got 80, 90,000 people there, it's electric. Hey, that's enough of me talking. Let's head back down to the ground. It's the Cats by 35 points. Bouncing the ball, third quarter.
In the middle of the MCG, Goldstein down towards Caldwell. Smith, possession number 25, if you don't mind, for Bailey, continuing on after a week out. Dempsey and Dersma. Clark caught with the footy. Can't release it.
Last week, though, 28 points down at half-time, Essendon, against Carlton, albeit different opposition, but they refused to concede, got going, got themselves right back in the contest. Let's see whether they can do similar here.
Not the last 2 weeks, guys, actually. Yeah. They did it against Brisbane, worked their way back in, and they work it down by hand. Good team running, awkward for Merritt, fought back hard to win it, and he didn't even have to move a muscle. Peter Wright just striding out. Right on the chest. That's the sort of delivery they're hankering for.
Yeah, ultimately a really good inside 50 from Zach Merritt. It wasn't the purest hand pass chain we've seen, but all you want them to do is keep surging forward, having a crack, and they were able to do that. And in the end, the right person kicking the ball inside 50.
They've had their moments with the footy today. Peter Wright missed his shot for goal early on. It was a more difficult one than this. There's no angle to negotiate. 16-10 for the season for Peter Wright. He couldn't have split the middle much more cleaner than that. So the Bombers get the first, and it does give them a bit of hope at the start of the third term.
Now, energy, that's the main thing that you're looking for here, and that means Zach Merritt's the leading scorer involvement player on the ground. So, he's been a little bit untidy on occasions, which has been unlike Zach Merritt, but that's the sort of finish or result that you expect from a player of his class. So, as Hutto alluded to, 2 weeks ago they came back hard against the Brisbane Lions, and then here last week against Carlton, after being 28 points down, they worked themselves right back into the contest. So this is much sterner opposition, there's no question about that, but this is a perfect start for them in the third quarter.
Well, the Cats have won the last 7 times against the Bombers. Essendon did beat them in the pre-season by 21 points. Down at the Cattery, Kako kicked 4 and Caddy kicked 3. So those 2 players might get going in the second half.
Kicked the last 2 of the Bombers. Guelphy at the end of the first half, now right to start the second. Holmes, bouncing ball forward, Roberts, whips it out to Merritt, started to turn nicely. Takes his time with the kick, his best effort, favoured O'Connor rather than Loire, back to Smith. Shanks it off the instep, forward, through the hands of Blackiston. The Cats queue up now. Ends with the number 9, Holmes.
He was actually a little unlucky, Blackiston, because he attacked the ball. He took front spot and he got a horrible bounce. That was that kicking from Bailey Smith. The one thing that's not quite as pure as everything else in his game, that was just a mum going forward to beat everybody.
You know what, Chief? We, or the opposition, the other 17 clubs, are thankful that he's not a great kick. It would be a nightmare if he was.
On the best and fairest last year, picked 20 back in 2020, their first pick. Holmes. Good looking effort. Just does everything nicely. Again, it's tight on the line. And this time it's a goal.
He gives them a quick answer. I mean, we talk so much about Bailey Smith and how well he's playing. We shouldn't underestimate how well this guy's going. Last week, he dominated. I mean, clearly, the best player out on the ground against Gold Coast. He did it all. Picked up the 10 coaches' votes, 10 clearances. So you kind of think of him as that pure runner outside. He looks graceful. He's happy to get dirty inside and do the grunt work as well.
And they use him so well. They're prepared to use him behind the footy. They can start him and set him out. So that's demonstrated by clearances. I don't think anyone underestimates him in footy these days. He's just elevated himself into the elite category, and poor old Will Setterfield, he don't know whether to turn to look at Bailey Smith or to Max Holmes at the moment.
I think 4 behinds over the last 2 weeks, Max Holmes, so I'll be happy to see that one sail through. That's accurate from the set shot. They might get another one coming up soon. Roberts defending well. Manor onto it. Kicked 2 early goals today in the tumble tournament. Merritt.
Even that there, I know it's just close, gets a fist in and refuses to allow Roberts to mark the ball at half back, and they get a stoppage and they start again. It's the little things.
Free kick to Merritt, but holding on.
Started the third quarter well, Zach Merritt.
Inclined to just give it off straight away, but all his potential options dried up as they start to spread out wide. This is Clark, and that is debut here with 3 goals in the dream time a few weeks ago. Back into Roberts, his lowest possession game last week with 14. So had to probably defend a little bit more. Probably a crisis with the big man. Oh, Dersma pops one, and it might be worthy of 50.
It is.
From Shannon Neal, who is the body boy.
Yeah, just a little one to the guts. The Dersma, so he gets the 50-metre penalty and will have a shot for goal from directly in front, about 40 or 45 metres out.
I reckon just about wear one to the guts if it means you get 50-metre penalty, don't you? And a chance to line up.
Hasn't affected his arrow, huh?
He needs to go back and kick this now. They've got to keep rewarding themselves, the Bombers. You talk about playing games out. The younger you are, the harder it is to fight games out, particularly if the opposition's in complete control. So you've got to keep getting some reward for your efforts.
It was in a contest, wasn't it?
The apology didn't seem to be accepted by the umpire or the Bombers there. Dersma kicked a goal on his 100th last week, and he's put that one through. Bang!
Ball's in good shape, Chief. The arrow came out. I reckon he's stiff. We'll have another look at it, I'm sure. But Dersma goes back and does what he has to do and takes the opportunity to convert, gets it back under 5 goals.
Bombers have got 2 archers playing today. That's Roberts and Archer May, but Dersma's the real archer, isn't he?
Number 1 Archer. He moved beautifully. Is this 50 metres, Jace, or not? Tell me this.
Well, I'll say this.
It's in the contest.
I hear you, but they play 50s and downfield free kicks at the drop of a hat these days, guys.
It's not late. He's committed to try to spoil it,
Yep.
and he can't get there.
I agree with you wholeheartedly.
He's reacted to Dersma, hasn't he?
Probably. Because who overplayed it?
Well,
Yes.
don't know if he did or not, but
But the players all do. They know if they overplay it, they'll probably get the benefit of the doubt from the umpire.
He's in the book. The Archer, Dersma. Goldstein, Stanley. Haven't really got a clear handle on it.
There's good energy here from the Bombers. They're going at it hard here, as you'd hope and expect they would. Just got to keep asking a question.
Goldie to the advantage of McGrath. Tries to whip it out to Parrish. Looks for Daywick. Stengel cuts it off. More metres gained for Holmes. Punches to the outer side. Dangerfield. Pryor. And Pryor will be happy to see that across the line.
They got away with that matchup. Prior to Dangerfield, so Danger's only had the 6 possessions, kept the goal.
Just about to say,
Point
Pryor started in front as they chased that ball. Danger ran past him. So he's still got some serious power and pace in those legs.
he'll be thrown on the southern side of the ground. Jack Martin sneaking down into the 50 on the opposite. He does happen to swing across goal.
149 worst first half in the last 5 seasons from the Bombers from a pressure point of view. They've come out here and they've hit them with a 241. So pretty good response from what was a disappointing, low pressure first half in the Bombers.
Yep, having said that, it's only been 5 or 7 minutes thus far in the third quarter, so they need to keep that level up.
Dersma, this is extremely wide. That'll work for Goldstein. Slow play for Essendon.
Todd takes a bit off the kick. Out of wing. Centrefield started the day on Bailey Smith. He spent time on Max Holmes. He must have done something wrong during the week.
Well, he's actually their leading possession with it, Howie. So he's worked really hard, and the chase that we highlighted in that second quarter is superb. So he's fighting his own ball in amongst this ongoing battle.
One from potential goal of the year for Holmes to one of the tackles of the year. So a good one last night on Watson. Dempsey provides the spoil. Smith arrives. Can't stop Parrish. Good gather there from the ruckman. Caddy hasn't been a factor so far. Dumped into the ground from Guthrie. The Bombers retain possession.
Good collection of hands. And it's Johnson who goes into the pocket. Full stretch right. No marker. Sullivan defended staunchly enough. They go again. May the handball out to Caddy. Was about to get into one of his moves. Able to just jab it back with a kick going across the front of goal. happening at the moment for Archer, mate. Henry back along the line. He's in front, Clark, and he was too tall. He judges it well in front of close. He was a bit frustrated by it.
Peter Wright's deep. Kick and a half from home. High ball forward. Here comes Wright from the back. Holmes picks it up and off he goes. Too much on it for Stanley. Myers, little Gailey gather and chip. Laverde cuts it off the other way from Cameron. Tries to get away from Myers, who does well. Throws it on his boot. Holmes, who started it, ends up with it. He finds Jezza,
who looks ahead. He's got Dangerfield on the long ball. Stengel also chugging along as he just tucks the kick in nicely. Shannon Neal there, plays it back. Myers. Stengel had kept on moving, keeping them guessing. Played it back to Smith. Wasn't necessarily ready. Just lags the kick. That's a diving effort from Guelphy. Good enough just to stun the ball. Daywicks, Jack Martin, share and share alike. Cameron's got 5. Snapping away on his left and right. And the Cats 5+ goal lead restored.
They can't be giving away possession like that. It was just a couple of players not on the same page. One thought he was giving the hand pass over the top to the running player, Daywicks, but that running player hadn't actually separated and got the other side. He was looking to support back there, and in the end, this hand pass straight to the opposition, and you get punished.
This is an inexperienced group down there at the moment, isn't it? So Dave Wicks has played only 4 games, and under some of the heat and pressure of this Saturday night game, and Brad Scott he understands. It doesn't make it any less frustrating, I wouldn't imagine. It was a bit of a mutton from Bailey Smith, which really worked on that occasion, because it was hard. It wasn't intercepted as a mark, and it meant that the ball remained in dispute. Watching Holmes and Smith belt out of that back half there, running together, it is a sight to behold.
7 goals, 4 half turnovers the way of the Cats. And they stretch it out to a 35-point margin, got out to 41.
He's just turned it on his head, Max Holmes. He said to Bailey Smith, I'm going to take these 3 off you.
Martin sends it towards Dangerfield, flips the hands up, Stengel, perfect position, back to Dangerfield, throws it over the boot, Paddy, nails it.
And Max Holmes this quarter, Jace, what he been going? How long have been going? He's had 6 possessions.
12 minutes, guys.
He's had 2 clearances, a centre-bounce clearance. Well, there'll be 3 scoring involvements now. And he's just starting to hum. And then, as we said earlier, just only minutes ago, the prior Dangerfield matchup hasn't really hurt them at the moment, but the front and centre from Tyson Stengel was elite. And it was just this time, it was Danger's turn. He actually provided the contest for the Crumbs, so a little bit of quid pro quo.
And again, 4 inside 50s for 3 goals. Just the return that they're getting for their 4As forward is exceptional, the Cats. The efficiency's just off the charts.
There's Danger's first goal. That's what you said about Holmes off the back. It's just sweeping at the moment.
Lead out to 41. Stanley, Parrish, Geelong Falcons boy himself, and Winchelsea, Caldwell and Atkins both gritting the teeth, as we're used to seeing. Getting down and dirty, right, flicking it out. The hands were good to the outside. Care shown on the kick from centre field again. Connects with Martin on the wraparound. Just adjusted the kick for Kako, but Guthrie read it best. He was able to keep it in team hands with Manor, who blasts towards Paddy.
Dangerfield just eased underneath the football from Pryor, who'll be under pressure now. Dangerfield just grabs it off him, but infringes in the process.
He did well, Pryor. Used his body to spoil it. Just the body on body to work Dangerfield under the ball and then staying active in the contest.
He's had a good day on the Geelong champ. That's not his best moment, though. Straight at the down of the mark, Myers. Look for the free kick, close straight through his hands. So a couple of rare errors from the Cash. They still keep the ball forward, though. Manor, look for danger. Manor sends it forward, just off the inside of the post.
Sweating pressure on the opposition in their front half.
The Cats veteran Mitch Duncan looks about to be deployed into the match, just waiting to find out who the Cats are subbing off.
Interesting to see if it's part of their management plan, maybe decoding, given what happened earlier.
Yep, that's right, out of the game with the shoulder.
Verdi, quick survey, and down the line, Dempsey from behind. Neil was in front, Caldwell, the scout for Essendon. Took a bit of territory, but he's going to give it all that up and more with the out on the full. Guthrie's ball.
Stanley's got forward at the moment without an opponent inside forward 50.
Humphries on the wraparound, back to Tom Stewart.
Peter Wright's just realised, Gaz, and he's 80 metres away trying to get back.
It's too strong in the air for the while. Just his second game. What a tough contract it is for the young man. It's us. Off the left boot. We see that pretty regularly. Shannon Neal, danger. That capsize and the ball harmlessly goes out.
Done for the day. Got the knock to the shoulder. To Coney.
Good luxury, isn't it? 42 points up, and there's plenty of footy still to be played for the year, so get him off the ground. You can slide blitz halves back if you're ever to get exposed. You won't be tonight. O'Sullivan on Caddy is the matchup we're going to watch many, many years to come.
Brisbane at home next week. The Cats have got Blackiston. It's an important hand in. Johnson, who's been good in game 3. Martin casually to centre field. Puts Pryor under pressure. And now they get the exit through Dersma.
I'm sure it's on his own down the line. That's why Dersma won't kick it.
So the Bombers realise that. They go back to Dersma. Stewart's still patrolling. He's giving up ground. Doesn't want to go anywhere near Stewart. So perfect setup behind the footy. Here he comes, Stewart. And they tried to avoid it 3 times, Gary, but still he just snaffles it.
And they did, and you just understand what they're trying to do here. They're just trying to hold up and run the ball from one end to the other, but when the pressure comes on...
Danger tries to lift up over the top. Laverty dug in hard. Roberts was copping it. Sits 40 out. Here's Cameron winding up. We've seen he use his right. This time he had the time and space, and can you believe he has blasted it from close range, and all he can do is smile. Because his miss was about as bad as Solly Dempsey's.
Well, he put the Jets on, he straightened up, and I thought he's going to run in and just kick this easily, but just shanked the kick at the end. That's why he's laughing.
Probably smile when you're 43 point something.
Yeah.
Got 5 in the back pocket.
He's just frustrated with himself, but it's just a game.
It's got a free kick here. Push, I think, from Peter Wright. Was it the marking contest?
Yeah, and Peter Wright stuck on the mark, and again, Reece Stanley's forward.
He's forgotten he's in the ruck, Peter Wright.
He has.
He's dead set forgotten.
And again, he looks up and he goes, oh, I better head down back.
Cats spread to the outer side. Duncan on. Mitch playing game 303. Now they got the overlap. Humphries, good use with a footy from outside. They've got talent everywhere at the Cats. Goal of the afternoon.
He enjoyed that one, the young man. Oh yeah, there's a celebration to go with it. I love it, the young blokes. We take a look at the Bunnings build up. They've got control of this game. Just picking and choosing which side of the ground they want to attack through. They look where the options are, wherever they've got players in space. And Humphries just drifts forward into a pocket, and then he's got ground in front of him, so he doesn't need to start worrying about anything complicated other than, I can kick this and I'm running straight at my target.
What foot's he kick with?
He left foot.
He's a damn good right foot. This is just what you saw then was demonstrating the problem for Brad Scott and the team. So he's got all his numbers back behind the ball, trying not to be exposed one-on-one in their back half. But when the ball does go forward, you got 2 and 3 Geelong players on their own, and then they just pick the free spare player all the way back inside 50, and then Humphries goes and drills out. That mark play on percentage tells you that they can play on every time they get the footy because there's someone free to go to, whereas the Bombers have to be much more circumspect.
Not often you see a centre bounce that leaves the centre square.
I'd throw that up for now.
Stanley held out, got the tap. Bailey Smith hunts it down again. Merton's right on the job. Ball squirts out Guelphy's way. Tackle from Humphries. Atkins, who's the leading pressure and tackle player in the competition.
Now is where you'd want Essendon to even up ahead of the footy, which Stewart drops off, Guelphy's got to go with him, which is good. So then if you win clearance, you get at least a 50-50 chance.
Temper into the outside, close initially, and then Neal with soft hands back to Atkins. Stanley down the line, Stengel was waiting for the right moment to jump. Laverty denies that. Wow. Smith, Caldwell, Blackiston, Neal, skills, but Robertson's reflexes were excellent. Laverty, they chain, and now Johnson can butt.
Back to Parrish. Forward now, Daywicks, they turn her over, just pressure from Geelong. And we'll get another opportunity. Parrish, good, the number 3, picks it up below his knees, wobbles it forward, Guelphy outsized. Here comes Peter Wright, never outsized. Back to Stewart, Kako applies pressure, as does Guelphy. They did well, the Bombers Smalls. Falls out to Goldie, shows it one way, Leal, kicked one last week. Centering ball under all sorts of pressure, the Cats defence. But as so often is the case, they stand up, back to Smith.
And kicks in the general direction of close, and now they streak forward, the Cats. Waits the kick down the line, perfectly onto the chest of Mullen. And the Irishman tucks back to the inside. Mitch Duncan, as we said, just on the ground ahead. Close, kept on moving. He's used on the way in. It's high for Neal, and unfortunately, Blackiston slipped over, so unfettered access for Shannon Neal.
You want to go all the way back to Bailey Smith. I know we talked about him a lot. He's up to 31 touches. He's a 1-2 expert, and clubs have got to now wake up to the fact that if he gives one, he can't get two. And Zach Merritt's been caught on the hop 3 or 4 times tonight. Now we'll have a look. If he kicks a goal, Shannon Neal will go back to where they started, because they were hemmed in. He got a 1-2 and then hit a beautiful pass that opened the game.
For a third for Shannon Neal. Big boots he had to fill. Big country boots of Tom Hawkins. It won't be Tom, but he's making a name for himself. Shannon Neal, he's kicked his third. Bringing kick 5 just a few weeks ago against the Dogs, and the Cats lead blows out to 55.
Let's have a look at this, Chase. So you're on a half-back flank here. You're under a little bit of pressure. You know, the Bombers have got some numbers around. And then all of a sudden on the back of this play here from Bailey Smith. So they're in that side, they're forward 50. There's Smith at the ball, right? So he's got one. He gives that, and then he gets it again, and 3 Essendon players are looking at him. He's good enough to hit that. From there on, Essendon are out. So Essendon are in all sorts of trouble because they work harder. Mullen works harder. Look at him out the back there. You don't get to access the man out the back if Bailey Smith's not good enough to go one. And then in Essendon, 3 Essendon players look at him and go, geez, you're a good runner, and as he runs straight past him. One of them's got to put an arm across or be prepared to gut run with him. Because in the end, that's the result.
Back in the middle we go. We'll kick the last 4. They're out to a game high 55 points, the Cats. Cameron's got 5. Smith, 31 disposals. Setterfield, 24 for the Bombers.
All right, Nate Caddy, come on, got to get involved here.
Goldie gets too close to man on the mark, makes it tough for everyone. Gresham bursts through. Parrish wanted to get onto the right, does well in the end, doesn't really time it, and the Cats can raffle it, and the winning ticket goes number 44, Stewart. Lays off the kick. O'Connor and Myers covering his typical amount of ground. And Guthrie hasn't missed a game since the premiership. Only Cap to have managed that streak. Mart, who looks like he's enjoying his time in hoops, turned over. Loire, forward hand pass. Daywicks slips, back by hand. McGrath feigns, steps. Guelphy, Kako through his hands. Comes Caldwell, wobbling ball forward. And always it seems to be a Cat there in the right position this time. It's Blitzer.
It's just that final kick every time, isn't it? They just don't have the composure, or they're under too much pressure, or they don't execute it properly. But they're not getting the reward for effort of driving the ball forward. It just falls short with an easy intercept mark to the Cats.
Adam Smith paused just to get the audience reaction, and then kicks to O'Sullivan and Caddy, taken 10 and 11 in the same draft. In fact, the Cats were happy to trade down a spot to let the Bombers get Caddy. They picked up O'Sullivan, and with the extra pick they got, this man, Sean Manor, they picked up. So both would be pretty happy, I think.
Beautiful work, hello.
Well, didn't they? They did it as if it was part of the plan. Caldwell feeds it back to Parrish, and then to Johnson on the intercept. Wow.
And again, you have a look here. You got Tom Stewart, you got Blitzars, and you got O'Sullivan back behind the footy. So it's hard work to transition from this point forward for Essendon.
Gary asked if the statisticians could come up with how many 1-2s for Smith today. They can only do it in post, so I expect to see that 360 Monday.
Archie Perkins onto the ground as the Bombers sub.
Put it in the book before Kingy steals it.
That's better.
Crack. That's good for
1-1.
Plays on. Sends it deep. Roberts uses his hands, and it is okay.
Yeah, so you get a one-on-one. We haven't had a one-on-one for the quarter, really, down the line, apart from when they opened up and kicked 2 of the first 3. But now you get a contest on Tom Stewart, a contested mark, and this man has had a really good year. Roberts gets forward.
Debuted round 21 last year now in Dyson Heppel's number, just playing game 17, but he looks like a long-term operator for the Sash. To break a run of 4. Roberts from directly in front. Pops it home.
So they've got to keep rewarding themselves at different stages to fight this game out. As you mentioned, Gaz, get some one-on-ones, at least give players an opportunity. And the kick had enough depth on it that he just had to work Brian Myers under the ball. Myers was having a chat with the umpire saying, well, did he push me out? He probably did, but he just gently eased him under the footy because the kick was to the advantage. And he moved it in quick. As soon as you saw there's only 2 players inside that attacking 50, that's a kick to advantage because it's heading over the top as a back position, which is where Roberts wants the ball.
So the marking side of it, look at Nate Caddy. Nate Caddy's one, Day Wicks is another, and Zach Merritt are the only players for Essendon that haven't taken a mark. So Caddy's got to find a way, whether it is to get an easy mark, a hit-up, uncontested mark.
Ash Lauren and Daisy, parents, relatives of Archie Roberts in the house at the MCG.
His 3rd goal in AFL footy, centre field. With a straight path to goal. Murphy desperately trying to get involved, put the pressure on these Cats defenders, but they're up to the task. Stewart slipping it out wide. Martin tried to pinpoint Myers. There's the 2 tangoing again. Myers wins out that time, although again he'll be frustrated with the adjudication because it was deemed over the line and out of bounds. Brad Scott, 270th game as coach, 168 as a player. Chris, 348 as coach, 215 as a player. All adds up to just over 1,000 games.
Big numbers, aren't they?
Even Chris had to admit that was something worth discussing, which he hates.
It takes a bit to get him interested these days, don't it?
Geelong 23 to the good at quarter time, 35 at half time. It looks like the substitution is being made down there. They're coming up by 49 points.
Day Wicks.
Julian Perkins is implemented into the affair. Merritt wobbles the ball forward to space. To Coney. Running off Archer May with a high ball that will work out nicely. Cats driving forward again. Cameron will be at the fall of the ball. Dangerfield with power. Streaks through the pack. Turns it round the corner. They wait for the bounce. And Paddy's got his second.
All started down back. The intercept of Blitzards. He just read the ball. He attacked it. He was able to beat May to the ball. And then they're just surging forward. It's going to be a tough last quarter and a bit now for the Bombers because they've got the centre to kill. Here he is, he just uses his body, he gets front position, blitz halves, and then away they go.
Archer just realised that that's the difference between AFL and waffle footy.
Yeah.
So he put body on Blitzards thinking that he was going to work him off the footy. He hardly moved him. Blitzards just stayed in line and ended up here. So this is a power, one of the most powerful footy players I've ever seen play the game, this man. And at 349 games, to still be able to do that is super impressive. So they're in good shape. There's no question about it. I love their forward line. I love the way that they set up this forward line. It's great to watch.
And while the Bombers try and manage their injuries, the Cats' emergencies today were Bowes, Buse and Ollie Henry. So that just shows the depth that the Cats have at the moment.
It's just showing off.
Also a healthy list, Hutto, which is
Healthy list,
really important.
McGrath, quick detour. Back through the middle to Merritt. Decided what was around him and decides to go across to Martin.
Mitch Duncan started on the half-forward flank of that last set of bounce. So whether it's with Nick Martin or not, I'm not sure I'm going to keep an eye on it, but it's a nice break for him.
Great connection with Merritt and the same for Kako. He takes it inside 50. Still in his first AFL season, of course. set them alight in the pre-season. We probably inflated the hopes that the young man could provide. Then I'd hit the scoreboard probably as much as he would have liked. 6 goals, 3 in his 12 games. But working hard. He's got the most ground balls and clearances inside forward 50 and second for tackles. So doing the less glamorous things. He's made a contribution today, been involved in 5 of their scores. Now opportunity for something for himself. It was tight all the way, but it shapes just the way he was hoping for. And having David Roden is there to signal your goal. It's just a little extra. Bombers' 7th goal. The margin is back over 50.
And this is the beauty of Zach Merritt. So
He hasn't absolutely smashed it, but he is the leading scoring Melbourne player on the ground. So if everyone had the simple mindset, he generally refuses to waste the possession. Now sometimes you can miss a target, but it'll be trying to get it to where it needs to go. And he's had 22 touches, 8 of them have resulted in scores. That's a pretty good night's work.
Love that vision of him kicking through the ball like that too.
Yeah, and look, he's still very much in development mode. They're getting plenty of games into him, which is great. And he's going to have really lean periods. That small forward role is so difficult to play. But as you said, he's doing the unglamorous things, and you've got to do that. And take a feather out of the cap of all these Geelong players that you see that do it every single week. That's what makes them great players.
10 goals for the term. All the way the Bombers. They drive it forward again.
Wicket. Zach Merritt's going to have another score involvement here. He's given O'Shea Mullen a bit of a tough time here. We know that Mullen's been doing some really good jobs in recent times, but Zach Merritt's starting to really have a bit of an impact. And they kicked this goal. It's 5 goals apiece in the third quarter, which is a pretty good effort for this young Essendon side.
Already kicked one this term as Peter Wright, Dave Wicks and DeConey both subbed out. Long kick of the football in number 20. And a good kick of the footy. Last 2 for the Bombers.
And really pleasing that he's able to convert. They continue to get a bit of reward for their effort. There's 5 goals for a quarter gap. That's a bloody good quarter when you're playing one of the best teams and one of the best defensively minded teams in the competition.
Yeah, 100%, JC. Have a look at all these sort of numbers here. It's been really competitive. They could have been excused for dropping off. They're looking down the barrel of the 35-point lead at half time. It gets out to 55 when Xiaomi Mi kicks a goal about 5 minutes ago. And they've responded with 3 of the last 4. That's just really encouraging stuff. Inside 50s, they're +1 inside 50s. They kick 5 goals straight from 12 entries. Merritt's the one that's led the way. He's had 9 possessions, 4 scoring involvements, put inside 53 times. He's a star, Zach Merritt.
I reckon no good sauce was just saying to Peter Wright, that one doesn't go against me. That's a downfield free kick. Does not go against me.
Margin back to 43 then. Split the ruck, but a little channel opens up for Smith. Laverty was onto it just a step before Dangerfield, but Dangerfield sprints away.
Oh, he might get pinged here. Yep.
Yep.
And again, you should never, ever get pinged. All he had to do was kick the ball once he went over the boundary line as though he was trying to keep it in.
Stengel was awake to it as well. And as a small forward, a dangerous small forward these days, you want nothing better than to set up. Oh, he was set up for the snap.
Yeah, and I think he thought he was a little bit too far out.
Well, he's going back to
Going back to it.
He's going to have to strike it perfectly because to cover this distance, you get very close to the belly of the ball.
They need a lot of power.
4 last week.
And he's got
Going high and clears everyone in the square. So Danger and Stengel just getting warmed up for next week for their milestone games. And the Cats bring up the 100 at the MCG. Stengel's first takes it back out to a 49-point advantage.
He'll be frustrated, Andrew McGrath. We see this a lot with players. Look at him. He just decelerates. He knows he can't go anywhere. He tucks it under the arm and lets his momentum take him over. Now, if he kicks it, once he's a metre over the boundary line, kicks it back into the field of play, he won't get pinged because he's tried to keep it in. Make it look as though you're trying to play the game instead of just accepting it and taking it out of bounds.
There's an obvious free kick in the end. And that kick there from Tyson Stengel,
It was perfect. He only had this, 12 centimetres to spare at the end.
he couldn't have hit that
Any
any
better, yeah.
better.
12 goals for the term now, 7 for the Cats, 5 for the Bombers.
12-7 out of the centre for the Cats here.
And at 13, Holmes streaks forward, more metres to Dangerfield, flips those hands up. Caught one for his troubles, scored on the third attempt. Clark steams in, throws himself at the footy.
How good was the kick from Holmes when you're running that quickly to be able to deliver to the leading player and put it perfectly out in front? Just couldn't drag it in, Danger.
Coming in the ruck. Todd just eased the ball down to himself. Caught and touch from Guthrie. Throws it out towards Blitzards. Back to Stanley. Back over the line. Final quarter ahead. Geelong have lost just one last quarter for the year. 12-1. The Bombers have been respectable. 7-5. Buck's tied up. Roberts' fist was vigorous, but Guthrie sends it back along the line. The siren sounds. It ends a very high-scoring quarter of football. Plenty of action, and there's more to come. 12 goals, 2 in total. And the Cats lead sits at 49. And they look as if they'll be second place on the AFL ladder come tonight. And speaking of tonight, there's more footy coming your way. It's Super Saturday Live, North Melbourne. The WA road trip ticked off for a win last week on the road in Bunbury. What a sight that was. And now another home game out west against Fremantle, who could be one of the charging teams in the run to finals.
All right, there we go. 3/4 time here, folks. And there we go. 49 points. 49 points, the Cats lead. We've got a good scoring game here. 16-8, 104. The Bombers, 8-7, 55. Of course, the Bombers, you know what, they didn't actually do too bad in that quarter, even though they got outscored. 5 straight goals to the Bombers in that third term. Well done. Of course, the Cats, though, 7 goals, 2. Thank you, mother, for the rabbits. Holy moly. Guacamole. Cats on fire. There we go. But the Bombers still not giving up here in this match, which is fantastic to see. You know, it's not always about just this game for the Bombers. And, you know, even though they're losing by a big margin, they still want to do things right for the following week and leading into the second half of the season, because they are still mathematically a chance of the top 8. But, of course, as we know, M. King, the Cats play the Brisbane Lions down there at GMHBA Stadium next week. You would expect the Cats, another victory. As you said, they've got a good run home. They're looking to come in good form. Absolutely. And I think, you know what, I think it was good. Danger was out for a couple of weeks. I think that actually turned the tide for the Catters, bringing... Or, you know, just playing Cameron up the ground a little bit, and he's just brought himself back into form. I tell you what, I thought he was going to kick 10. Let's go and have a look at the goal scorers first. The AFL fantasy points, if you play that game, we've got 2 players so far over 100. 110, Will Settlefield for the Bombers. Bailey Smith, 108 for the Cats. Goal scorers, Jeremy Cameron, well, he's kicked a bag. He's kicked a handful. He's kicked 5. Can he kick 5 in the final term? I tell you what, it wouldn't surprise me. 5 goals from 10 kicks. 5 goals, 1. Shannon Neal, 3 goals, looking good as well. There we go. Sean Manor with 2. Paddy Dangerfield, good to see him bob up with 2. Stengel, Humphreys, Maxi Holmes. I tell you what, Maxi Holmes is a good player for the Catters. I tell you what, he's got some speed. Brad Close with a single also for the Bombers. Peter, singles to Archie Roberts, Kako, Gresham, Durham. I tell you what, what do we reckon? What do we reckon, folks, for Bailey Smith? What's he going to end up with his stats? He's on 35 possessions so far in this game. Can he hit the magical 50? Tell you what, he's going to go close. 22 kicks, 13 handballs, 5 marks, 1 tackle, 5 clearances. Meters gained, 642. He's having a ring-a-ding-ding game, Bailey Smith. Holy Toledo. I don't know how the Dogs... He was from the Dogs, wasn't he? How did the Dogs ever let him go? Will Settlefield, next best on the ground with 26. Zach Merritt for 24 for the Bombers. Maxi Holmes also 24 for the Pussycats. Tom Stewart having a good game there. 19 down back, playing as a loose man. I think he's in his favourite position when he plays that. Toddy Goldstein, 17, 24 hit outs. Well done, well done. Jack Martin for the Cats on 14. Humphreys on 12. Let's just roll on down because we're going to be back for the final quarter. This is a ring-a-ding-ding last quarter. Tell you what, it's all going to come. We've got a couple of things to look out for. Can the Bombers keep giving it their all in the final quarter? And a couple other stats. Can Cameron kick 5 in the final quarter? They snag 10 goals. And can Bailey Smith end up with 50 possessions, 15 more to go? It's going to be fantastic. All right, that is the player stats. There we go. Cheer, shouty again. The famous cheer, Sheila May. Centre all. Margin of score, 8 scoring shots. 15 scoring shots to 24. There we go. Yeah, 9 scoring shots of difference. Stengel was good. Kicked a beautiful goal. Humphreys kicked a beautiful goal. 3/4 time. Scoring shots 15-24. There we go. I tell you what, this is, you know what? This is what we always say, isn't it? This is what we always say. Look at the Cats score. 16 goals, 8. That's accurate kicking. Accurate kicking by the Cats. 8 goals, 7. The Bombers did miss probably 3 they should have had. So they probably should have been 11 goals, 6. A little bit closer. They probably should have been within about 32 instead of 49. That being said, I tell you what, this is one classy outfit. The Cats. They are silky smooth. And as we keep saying, they make all the right decisions, do the Cats. They've got the experience, the gun players. They've got composure, whereas the Bombers, they're trying their guts out here in this game today. But just some of the decision making, plus the pressure that the Cats are putting on. But at the same token, the decision making, they're a little bit scrambled at the moment, the Bombers. But they're giving it all. They put on 5 goals in that third term. Fantastic effort. Let's see what happens in the final term. 49-point leaders Geelong. As we say, 2 things we're going to look forward. Can Cameron kick 5 in the final, get 10? And can Bailey Smith get 15 more disposals to hit that magical 50 mark? All right, folks, hey, let's get back down to the ground where the action is for the final quarter. That's the Cats by 49.
There's no surprise. It's good stuff.
All right, here we go. Final term. The Cats up by 49 points. Smith 35, Holmes 24, Setterfield 26. Jez has got 5 with a quarter to go. Hogan kicked 6 earlier on today. Humphreys just gets away from Kako, spreads it out to Dempsey. Little chipping ball towards Dangerfield. Pryor read it well from behind. And Marks in front of the skipper. Happy just to tap it out in front of the Shane Warne stand. To Clark. Nice little step on Stengel. The country boy and the country game. Goldstein, too much height for Henry. A good build up for the Bombers. Here's the important kick. Towards right, Blitzards. Bounces off their head. Caddy arrives.
So I know I've spoken about no Caddy, but he still hasn't taken a mark. And it's not so much that he hasn't taken a mark, he just hasn't got to enough contest. That's how well they're going. They're using the heads to spoil the Cats. But no Caddy's got to get to more marking contests. I don't care whether he marks them or not, but I just haven't seen him in enough today.
Caldwell threatening. Caddy didn't quite get to that one. Close. Bounce instead went to Dersma. Swing to the goal. Some of the crowd.
Immediately reset through Smith coming up for his 36th disposal. Played by Clark. Humphreys. Looks out Dempsey forward hand pass McGrath. What's the line?
Angus Clark, who started in half-back, has gone on to the wing to play on Ollie Dempsey. So the education process for this young man continues, which is a good thing.
Dempsey's still without a goal. He should have kicked one, but he hasn't. It's a far cry for Clark's debut when he kicked 3 goals. Thinking how good's playing forward. All of a sudden you go down back for a couple of weeks now. You're on the wing and life's not that easy.
No, so this is sliding doors. Right? Yeah. He comes to a time in Essendon when they're just bereft of on-field talent or availability rather. So he has to sacrifice his own game as a young kid who kicked 3 on debut and play half-back and wing.
Setterfield and Merritt, a little bit of waxing. Setterfield up towards right. Well denied by Blitzars. Kako bursting impressively, but gave it straight back. And the Cats get themselves set to bounce off half-back. Mullen has tossed it up for Shannon there.
Effectively. A couple of goals in the first term, one in the third. Neil. Cameron's kicked 5. Dangerfield's deep.
Yeah, he's got Pryor, who's had him all night and been pretty good, really. Danger's kicked 2 goals and no one would have been able to stop.
And the ruckman are deep. Clever little disguise kick to Humphries. Kicked a beauty earlier on. Sides it forward. Merritt through his hands. Martin. Perkins, the sub. Turns it straight over.
Disappointing on the way out. Straight to Henry. Slaps it forward. Shannon Neal again.
Well done, Ollie Dempsey.
Again, it's just a disconnect with the Essendon players. Archie Perkins thinks that the Essendon player is going to come up at him, but he doubles back and heads off towards goal, wants to kick over the top. The timing's not there, they turn it over, and we've seen it time and time again today. They force that forward half turnover and then they punish him.
And Ollie Dempsey here, just body on Clark, enables Neil to come back and mark uncontested.
For a fourth. All 203 centimetres of Shannon Neal. Oh, absolutely hit the middle of the post there.
He doesn't miss by far. It's a very simple, effective kicking technique.
Martin to the flank.
So we talk about the Adelaide Crows forward trio of Philthorpe, Fogarty and Walker. Who are you taking? Neil, Cameron or Dangerfield for those three?
Play the think music, Jason. Stand by. We'll get back to you on that one.
Well, I think you've got more years in 2 of the Adelaide players than perhaps a couple of the Geelong ones.
You're overthinking it.
Right now, I'll take either.
Oh, that's sick.
Gee whiz. It's a real fence sitter by you. I'm taking the Cats. Gary, that really affects anything.
No, thank you for the answer.
Just trying to support the 12.54 man. Strip of the footy was called well.
Can I just say that the way they take it inside 50 helps too?
Yes, it does.
The way they tackle, led by Tom Atkins, isn't bad either. Neil holds his ground. Cameron hopeful as he flew. Ollie Dempsey to close. Merritt stuck to task. Brings him down.
He's worked so hard, Zach Merritt. He's really come on in the second half particularly. So setting him up when they go forward. 9 score involvements. No one's had more on the ground. And now chase down tackle on the last line.
From that last line. The outer side needs to be perfect, and it is to Mart. He's got the overlap runner in Laverty. Chips it forward to Perkins. Made a bit of a meal of his last effort by foot. Oh, gee, might have done the same just over the top of Neil. Only just, though. Martin gets him out of jail. Pryor.
Back again to Perkins. Great evasive skills that time. Another wobbly number forward, though. Mullen wasn't sure who to connect with, and suddenly they surge. O'Sullivan bounding out. Deep on the kick. Dempsey didn't quite know whether to fly or not. And McGrath was able to provide the steadying influence. Look at that from Roberts. Took off, little one-handed bounce. Connects again. Tried to tuck the kick back in, but all he does is generously give the ball to O'Sullivan.
Well, Archie Perkins started as a sub, high investment draft pick, and he's come on and absolutely torched the footy.
Holmes. Huge metres gained again. Sets it up for Cameron. Bursts away from Laverty at the last moment. Clever down to Stengel in the pocket. Even Tyson, the magician, couldn't conjure something from there. Merritt racking them up now on the exit. Caldwell, very short. Dersman does well.
Eyes to the middle, but nothing for him. Oh, he tried to play it to Perkins. Dangerfield was onto that. Little flick to the inside to Holmes. Then to Bailey Smith. Tucks it into the pocket where Stengel gleefully accepts the pass and will line up for another.
It's just another.
We're going to stop talking about these forward half turnovers. We just keep repeating ourselves, don't we?
I know, so it's credit to Geelong, which we always want to give first and foremost, but when they kick like this, So Perkins horrible, Dersma horrible. Just turn the footy over.
5-year contract extension sees him with the Cats at least until 2029. Tyson Stengel, Premiership players we mentioned, his third club. Just one to the left, so 20 goals, 14 for the season now.
I reckon, Gaz, if I'm a defender for the Bombers, I'm finding out who the main turnover kings are further afield, and I'm having a chat with them during the week. And just getting them to understand what it does to us.
Sends it back to Dangerfield. Verde uses his big strong frame away from Manor. McGrath, Pryor, caught by Stengel. Got him!
Add that to the list.
They play the advantage, they pay the advantage, and Myers pops it home.
So that is 9 goals, 9-5 from 4 intercepts, turnovers. They kicked 13 goals for turnover for the game, so 13 out of 70. But they have just played. Look, as the game, as the game started, and all of a sudden they looked a bit jittery in the back half, and they're young in the back half, so we understand that. But then you got to, if you're an opposition, you've got to be ruthless in exploiting it. And they exploit it better than anyone, Geelong. They can smell the vulnerability.
Yeah, that's the difference. I mean, turnovers, intercepts is the main source of scoring. But they take it to a new level of Cats with the quality of their pressure, the ability to dispossess by tackle, and then to hurt you on the scoreboard.
The only man a little bit unhappy there was Tyson Stengel.
Yeah,
He made this fantastic rundown tackle and they took his goal away.
Yeah, that danger. Stole it with a hand pass.
That's 3 points more there from turnover than Essendon's whole score.
Yeah.
Nice looking tap from Goldstein, and Parrish eventually playing in front the virtues of for Zach Guthrie. Out to the wing to Holmes, had time to look ahead, try to direct it to Myers. Again, the nuances. Flick the handball, but Parrish able to sneak in. Martin just keeps the ball safe. Never handball to Ruckler is the old rule. And it almost forced him to cough it up the time prior. Gets it to Zach Johnson. Weil leads out on the wing, Humphreys, and they're joined by Politzars, and almost went into his guts there.
And what a great luxury it has been too for the Cats, Hutto. So DeConing comes off. You just swing Blitzars from a wing back into the key defensive post, and he doesn't miss a beat.
Switches on to O'Sullivan from Smith. Takes some ground. Takes a bit more. I think he goes too far.
He just forgot to bounce it. He's even Chris Scott's on nothing.
They caddy get in this marking contest.
There it is.
Everyone except Connor O'Sullivan thought that was funny. So, caddy.
And there's the next kick.
Lets it all wash over him and then just kicks high down the line. Gave Perkins no chance. Take a pick of Cats there.
With the greatest of respect, Peter Wright's got to work harder to come up and actually get within kicking range. He was just dawdling, well off the footy.
Yeah, I think the key forwards have both got to get much better at that, Jess. They just at times they're caught on the back foot and you don't get a genuine contest from them.
Sends it back for a bit of recycling. Back to O'Sullivan. Across to Humphreys, and the Cats now craving the members' side because there is a clear path for Mitch Duncan, the veteran, started as sub, pulls the kick nicely for Martin. Bailey Smith on 38 touches, running up ahead. He's still an option, but he goes to the inside instead to Duncan.
The champ Duncan. Smith out there for number 39. Squeezes it inside 50 again to pick Shannon Neal, who just gets better every single week.
He's a really exciting prospect. There's no question about that. This man involved again here. Because that's right in front of us, that passage of play. They set that whole thing up to get it in the hands of Matty Smith. Humphrey knew exactly where he was there. Smith just sat out there on that wing and waited for the ball to get to him. And then on this occasion, his kicking was first rate.
3 goals, 1 to the big fella. Old-fashioned footballer look about him. From 48 out. He's a good kick of the footy. And he's got 4.
Will they continue to reap the benefits of Bailey Smith's work further afield? He's up to 39 possessions. He and Max Holmes have had 9 inside 50s apiece. And when he hits the ball like that, I mean, we speak about perhaps he's not the purest kick in the game like some of the other great mids, but We've seen a couple of his kicks today that have been absolutely beautiful, and certainly Shannon Neal's been on the end of a couple of them.
Did he just pull up a fraction sore there?
I didn't see it.
Came straight from the ground.
See him in the umpires' votes this afternoon, Gary?
Yep. He's vote. I would imagine that you can't really anticipate how an umpire sees it, but they generally get a feel for midfielders to get plenty of the footy. That's history tells you that's the case, and he's got plenty of the footy.
5 Cameron, 4 Neil.
Doesn't look to be in difficulty, which is a good sign.
Just kicking back, wondering who he's going to host at his house next week. The CEO, Andrew Dillon, of course.
Tommy Harley.
Tommy Harley, maybe. Marching out to 62. It's a game high. Lead for the Cats. Holmes drilling it out with Perkins. Took a bit of territory. Essendon looked well placed. And Roberts to right. It's all clogged up in the middle.
Yeah, it was close, converging, coming up, closing really quickly from that forward half, keeping pressure on.
Tossed up again. He'll doing a bit of ruck work. Caldwell in his trade-mate style. The half forward, bit of a standoff. Stewart looked to provide against Guelph. Stuck at it well. What a great smother from Mitch Duncan. Kept his eye on the footy caddy, approaching it carefully. No one back in the goal square, but O'Connor prepared to wear whatever was required.
Geelong are up by 23 at quarter time, 35 at half time, 49 at the three-quarter time breaks, and they've won every term. Plus 13 this term, Atkins. 1 in 7 Geelong tackles come from that man Atkins. Unusual hand pass, but it works out that Dempsey kicked a goal in every game but one this year. Hasn't kicked one so far. He has now. Cats are unstoppable at the G. They've kicked only 3 of the term.
They make it look so easy, don't they? And I think he had grand designs then to run and draw and hand pass over to Shannon Neal, but
Brian wouldn't leave him.
no. And so he just kept bouncing. He said, is he going to unfold? I want to give the hand pass, but no, he won't leave him, so I'll finish myself. So it's always team first and then do what has to be done if that option doesn't open up. And they've just done it beautifully for 4 quarters.
But the one was there, there we can get into as a ladder. The Cats tonight with Brisbane going down today. The Giants now get themselves into a position where they hope to remain for the rest of the year. But there was a bit of a sloppy setup there. As I said, Angus Clark's trying to learn that playing on the wing. But then you've got to make them pay. Every time that someone gives you a look on the basis that they haven't got to the right setup, make you pay, and they did.
Smith again out of the middle. That is possession 40. Creeps to half forward, close, defending but attacking with the spoil. Myers is kicked, there's a whistle. And that means Margore free. Cameron is going to line up. In fact, he's not going to bother lining up. He'll just snap with those football instincts. A half dozen for Jeremy Cameron. Streaks away in the Coleman. Up to 44 goals for the year.
Well, I guess in the end, this was going, we could anticipate that something like this was going to happen, because you looked at this team on paper before the game when you're doing your homework, and it is absolutely chock-a-block full of the sorts of players that you want to be representing you deep into September. And conversely, you've got an Essendon side that's been absolutely decimated. So in the end, it's not a great surprise to score. I think Essendon have been competitive, and if you're an Essendon fan, nice to be, I can't talk for an Essendon fan, but I think you've got to be a bit understanding of what's going on here. They had a crack, but the bottom line is they are absolutely outclassed here today, and out experienced, out everything. So the margins shouldn't really be a shot.
69 possession between Smith and Holmes with 1,490 metres. Holmes 734, Smith 756. Caddy just below his knees. Couldn't reel it in. Wow. Sees it across the line. So 734 metres for Holmes, 756 for Smith.
Yep, and the goal kickers, as you rightly pointed out, there's the sorts of goals that you'd think, given the defences. So 6 and 4, so 10 to just Cameron and Neal. With Laverde is the only recognised, and he's not even a key defender. I mean, in normal circumstances, he'd be taking the third. And
Well, he didn't even start in the team, did he, at the beginning of the year?
Yep.
Kind of under the pump. Thomas copping a few hidings this year. 91 against the Dogs, 61 against Adelaide. It's 41 in the end against Collingwood. Caldwell nudging it a little closer to goal.
I just had a message at pitch 17 for Bailey Smith. Hasn't gone down well. A couple of Western Bulldogs fans that are sitting back now going, how can you give up 17 for this one?
41 disposals. After missing last week, just a slight tight hamstring. Caldwell. Not really anyone in particular. Stengel, if he gets through, he'll be up to game 100 next week. Paddy will be up to game 350. And they'll be at home against Brisbane on Friday night on Fox.
Oh, they're out there.
He is close. Sends it forward. Dempsey waits. Gets away from Clark. He'll need to pick it up cleanly. Doesn't manage to the first time. Arches the back. Myers hits targets typically. And this time, I'm going to say it was off the outside of the boot.
I think it was passing to Jack Martin.
Yeah, I agree, but he had better options actually in the corridor. They had a couple of players all on their own.
Centre field. Dersma. 7.5 to go. Geelong's margin is 75 and only growing. 4 unanswered goals in this last quarter alone. Pryor pushes it back. Laverty out to Roberts. Underneath the Warren stand. Oh, McGrath dropped it. Close was ready. Little slipper in. Manor had a quick look at the big sticks and slides through his third. And Geelong's 21st goal. The lead is now beyond 80 points.
A little bit of Rochelle style football here in the process, wasn't it? Glad he went through because Jeremy Cameron was sitting on his own. Drop mark from Andy McGrath. He just can't explain that. What about this? That'll do it. The manner just went whack. There's Jezza Cameron thinking that better go through. And it did. So you can't account for mistakes like that from your vice captain.
5 goals to 0 for the term. Away of the Cats, they were 49 to the good. Now 81 up, over 61,643 people here at the MCG. Stanley. Holmes shoves a boot towards it. Goldstein through the shoulders back. Didn't receive anything. Mullen took it from Atkins. Downfield. So it'll be Stengel will have it. Where's Jezza? He's deep. And Laverty.
I was trying to tell him they wanted to get out of his space.
His first lead is ignored. Short ball towards Manor. Does well at ground level. Whips out a Duncan. Back to Stengel. Tyson from the pocket. Not quite enough on it. And Blackhurst sees it across the line.
There's 6 teenagers and 2 20-year-olds today.
That gives you perspective.
Yeah.
Not an excuse, but gives you pretty good perspective against the super experienced premiership laden opposition.
Stanley, Merritt. Dempsey in tackle mode this time.
Zach. Come out this way, guys. Reese, Todd.
6 players under 5 games, so almost unprecedented really for a regular team in the regular season.
Yep.
Starts to tell as the game continues. It's quite deep now, as you know, in this final term. Cornwall getting a hand pass to the voice of Merritt. The captain plays the flanks. Safely enough, hugged in by Johnson.
Plenty of the footy has Johnson. His third game. Dersma spent part of the day on Dempsey on the wing. Too much on the kick. Holmes outside of the foot to Big Reece Stanley, who marks 35 out.
Xavier Dersma has kicked tonight at 45%. So no wonder he's looking disappointed in himself. And that's a standard that we talked about inexperience, we talked about teenagers, 5 games and less. That's not Xavier Dersma. He's played enough footy to be better than that, and he's been disappointing by foot.
First game for Dersma. The fourth goal for the season for Reese. Dominating here. 7 goals unanswered for the term for the Cats. And in the words of the great Rex Hunt, this is now,
Destroyation, Howie.
Correct.
Well, we kind of felt it was always going to open up at some stage, and they were going to be overwhelmed, and it's happened here in the last term. She said 7 goals to zip. Just too many poor decisions. Too many poor decisions by foot. You see Dersman coming off. I don't know if that's by design or anything untoward, but they've just turned it over far too many times. It's bad enough that you're under immense pressure. And conversely, again, Max Holmes, another beautiful kick from him. He'll fight out best on ground with Bailey Smith. The two of them have just absolutely destroyed the Bombers.
Oh, they are. They're in rare form through the middle of the ground. Tommy Atkins is the absolute perfect foil for them. And 11 goals from forward half turnovers now. And their set shot kicking's been a feature as well.
Goldstream reaches over the top of Stanley. Perkins still couldn't get a clean break out of the middle. Holmes another possession. Humphrey searching kick. Prior spot when he probably didn't need to. Neal's all over it here. Dempsey on the outside. Stengel getting close to the goal. It got all of it broken up. And McGrath is able to wait and get involved again in the chain. A few instructions for Roberts. Floats it for Caldwell. O'Connor stood his ground in front. Caldwell first back to his feet, but no clear passage.
Look at that pressure again there, and they're 87 points up. So they've 105 points from intercepts for the game. It's the 8th time that they've gone over 100 points in the last 10 years. So that's the kind of night that they've had against this undermanned, inexperienced Essendon side. And they've done what really good sides should do against them.
And their percentage today, Gary, which can always be important, has gone up 6.8%.
Top 2 on that ladder right now.
What a game they had against the Pies earlier on. Dempsey has kicked his goal already. Missed one he would have normally snaffled. Tries to run around. Exits closed. Humphreys to a dangerous area. Look at the size of Neal. Brings it to ground. Stengel perfectly front and centre. Gets it across to Atkins. Looks across to Holmes. Throws it on the boot in a hurry. Wobbles it forward. But inaccurately misses the lot.
Jeremy Cameron's lurking. He was in there nearly ripping the ball out of teammates' hands. He's just got to feel that he can get another one or two before the siren comes.
Verdi. Wow. Roberts. Handball seems sensible until Johnson topples over. Holmes sweating on him. Guthrie. Mullen. Everyone's falling over. Close the latest victim. Manor. Try to feed it back to him. Kako in defence. Laverty. Peter Wright has Stewart, and Blitzar's made sure that Wright couldn't get there. He's on his shoulder, Peter Wright. That's the last thing they need is another lame 6'7". Atkins, his whole body through that kick. Out to the open side, Myers. Stanley. It's on the end.
Queuing up. He's queuing up at the moment.
Yeah.
So they have taken 21 marks inside their forward 50.
There's a scheming there. Reese thinks, well, might as well go for a long one. Just the 3 goals for the season from Reece Stanley. Kicked one earlier today. That one floats across. Stays to the wrong side of the post. A big score from the Cats in the end.
Yeah, it's a big number, isn't it? 44 points. And it really doesn't look like they've got out of second or third gear for most of the game, truth be told.
Apart from the pressure,
Yeah.
the forward half stuff. When they close down on a loose ball in their forward half, it's been pretty frantic and frenetic. The rest of it's just been pretty methodical. Their back half, we haven't spoken about the fact that their defence has given up just 8 goals for the game. Stewart seamlessly slots back doing what he does. O'Connor's beaten Caddy. O'Sullivan Rather's beaten Caddy. There's Stewart again.
Another intercept mark for the 5-time World Australian into the hands of O'Connor. Sends it deep forward towards Neal. Cameron's out the back. There's close. Cameron approaches. He's already kicked 6 from tight in the pocket. Wobbles it back towards the face of goal to a dangerous area. But Johnson takes care of business.
How did he get the ball back to there? He's incredible, Jeremy Cameron, the way he gets that ball back inside.
Overworked back in defence at the moment. Roberts' kick doesn't clear things. Myers sweeps it out to Stanley. Back into the square. Dempsey. Well denied that time by Johnson. So this is the 4th biggest score of the season by anyone, but it's not even the Cats' biggest score. They kicked 147 in round 1 against Fremantle. Adelaide have kicked the biggest. That was against the Bombers, I think, 161 here at the G.
The Bombers kicked, I think they hit 100 themselves that day.
That'd be their biggest score of the year. In a losing performance. Stanley, Goldstein, Perkins. Outnumbered again. Stengel took the run of it. Pressure from May when he didn't take the mark on the follow-up. Getting an education out there today. And we have a minute and 2 remaining.
Stengel facing game number 100 next week. Dangerfield 350. What a celebration that'll be down in Geelong. Dempsey, check sides, got the legs. Oh, they're doing it all, the Cats. Doing it absolutely all Geelong. Second for Dempsey, and the 150 comes up.
95 points, Jace. In the end, Shannon Neal just watched it and thought, I'll let this go. I don't even have to have a play on it. So not too many concerns for that man. Attention will turn to Friday night pretty quickly. What a game that is shaping up. GMHBA Friday night against the reigning premiers. But this is a hell of a goal, by the way. A banana.
Off one standing still, basically, a stationary banana.
Ooh, gee, just got there, didn't it? So he had a super game, Ollie Dempsey. Yeah, that's how good the win's been. He's just sat out there on the wing doing what he has been doing for a number of years now. He's kicked 2 goals and we've had winners everywhere. So super, super impressive. Not altogether surprising. Maybe this last quarter it's just got a little bit too hard for the young Bombers. But if you're a Geelong fan, you're in great shape. You're ready to roll.
9th time this year he's kicked 2 goals. Ollie Dempsey.
7 goals to zip for the turn.
Not quite 61,000 people left here for your disappointed Bomber fans. And the Cats had another in the last 40 seconds. Maybe a bit of holding there by Manor.
Well, Max Holmes is up to 36. Bailey Smith's on 41. He's been sitting for the last 5 minutes.
He has, I think, since he came off involved that last...
Yeah, you thought he might have hurt himself.
Just wasn't sure.
They might be taking just the extra cautious approach. He didn't look too upset.
Stanley crash landing. He's played his part. A couple of vets in Ruckman, he and Goldstein. The Cats are going to try and maintain possession until the end. The bitter end. If you're a Bombers fan, they gave it a crack early. But Geelong's domination was clear. The class is rising to the top as the season progresses. The last 3 premiers lead the first 3 places on the ladder as the Cats make their move to second, demolishing Essendon by 95 points. The greatest team of all, we are Geelong. We're always on the ball. We play the game as it should be played.
Let's have a look at Bailey Smith down there. He looks unperturbed. Hello, so have you got any ice? Although there has been ice. Now I've got the binoculars on the back of the right hamstring. Now, I'm not saying there's a hamstring injury. I'm just saying there's a large red mark there that does look like an ice pack, but we'll find out a little bit later. Let's go down to Sarah Jones.
I've got the 6-goal hero, Jeremy Cameron. Country boy on country ground. That was an ultra-professional performance by the boys against an inexperienced side. What's the biggest takeaway from that?
Yeah, definitely. I think we come into it just wanting to play our brand of football. So they're doing all the little things well, time and time again. You know, they build up and they're important in big games. So we just wanted to treat it like that. Stay in the moment, in the present, and just play good football. So I thought we did that right across the 4 quarters, which was nice.
Forward 50 pressure was immense. Was that a big focus?
It was a big focus. It's always a big focus for everyone in the forward line. And the boys were pretty quick to remind me I didn't have a tackle tonight. So I've got a cough up there during the week. But that's something we want to focus on. We want to keep it in there. You know, every team does, but that's been always a big focus for us. And Tyson, Brad Close, we saw them make some awesome tackles, so it's great to see.
What's the no tackle penalty at the Geelong Footy Club?
It's a fine. It's a fine. I'm not sure how big yet, but it's all in good fun. But we want to pride ourselves on doing the little things all the time. So it's important and it builds up. And like I said, when the big games come around, it's super important. So they're a young side. They kept taking it on. They've got some really good players, and they'll damage you. They don't mind bringing it back through the middle. So it was nice to cover off on that tonight.
We like to call them the Dash brothers, Bailey Smith and Max Holmes. Enormous metres gained from them again. Bailey Smith in particular, how do you see him handling being the most talked about player in the game at the moment?
Oh, I think he handles it pretty well, doesn't he? He's he's got a good little spot there that he gets away when he's at home, and when he's in the football club, and what he's done for us as players has been absolutely amazing. We've got his back right through whatever it is during the week, but we'll always have his back and back him in to do what he does. Like he's brilliant out here on the field, but inside the locker room he's even better, which is hard to believe, but it's true. So we look forward to seeing what he can do in the back half of the year, along with Maxi. I missed out on Maxi there. You did ask about him too, but to see those two running, out of the centre bounce down your way and driving it forward's immense for the team.
Next week, the Brisbane Lions, the reigning premiers, the team that ended your September campaign last year, and Patrick Dangerfield's 350th game. How big's that going to be?
Oh, yeah, it's going to be massive. They're always a quality side, and they're playing really good football. I'm not sure. We're sort of watching it there when we were warming up for our game today. So we'll have a good look at them. I think it's a 6-day break, so a bit of recovery during the week, which is nice. But, it'd be good to get back to GMHBA Stadium in what's going to be a massive night heading into our bye.
Looking forward to it. Well done tonight.
Thank you. I'm losing my voice.
Thanks, Jezza.
So Jezza, one of 3 cats that didn't have a tackle. Tom Stewart and Sam DeConing. I don't know if you get excused if you get subbed off.
Sam doesn't get the fine, but Tom and Jeremy can. They can afford it, one would think. But look, this is you try to just judge Essendon as they wander in here. Losing by 95 points is never nice. There's not one of them who's a competitor would like that. And we'll get back to him in a minute because this man, Max Holmes, absolutely outstanding, sir.
He is at the moment playing marvellous football, one of the Dash brothers. How much fun was that tonight? You and Bailey Smith, the run you were able to generate was phenomenal.
Yeah, no, it was good fun, and we ran away with it at the end, which was nice. We knew they were a good second half team recently. They've come back from a few deficits, so we wanted to really put it on them, and I think we did. And yeah, it's fun playing with Bailey. It was good to get the win without him last week, but yeah, it's great playing with him.
We marvel at the running ability of both of you. I'm interested. Over 100 metres, who's going to win it? You or Bailey Smith?
Me with ease, but if we take it past 400, I reckon he's starting to get me. So I got him over 100.
Longer distances, more his go, yeah?
Yeah, he's a good man over long distance. He's very fit.
And just his ability to handle all the external noise that's going on at the moment. Being hauled in for a meeting with the AFL CEO and then coming out here and having 41 disposals. Do you just shake your head at his ability to put all that aside?
Well, I shook my head because he came off at 39 and he wasn't supposed to go back on, and he clearly was thinking about my 40 last week, so he wanted to go and outdo me. So little so-and-so there, but he cops it in the media and pretty unfairly a lot of the time. So it's great to see him just shut out the noise on game day and come out and play good footy.
Jeremy Cameron, 6 goals today. He missed an absolute sitter and said he didn't get any tackles, which he'll be penalised for at the club. But how good is it when you run out of the middle, you explode out of the middle, and you see the big fella in the forward line?
Yeah, it's good. We've got a lot of dangerous forwards up there that are real nice to kick to. You got and they're fast down there as well. So you've got a lot of area to kick it to them, just put it in front of them, they'll get to work. So that's what they tell us, just get it in there and we'll do the rest. So it's great having him up there and Danger and Scratch.
You mentioned Danger. I imagine you would have grown up watching him play and as a midfielder aspired to be like him, and you're going to run out in his game number 350. Just talk to us about what he means to this football club.
Oh, he's amazing, and we played great footy with him, and he's been a massive leader for us since Joel left, and I think it was one of those ones that we thought a little bit like when Joel's leaves, like, geez, he's been captain for so long, we'll leave a hole, and it hasn't really, Pat's been amazing with that, and he's amazing to play with. Like, he could play in the midfield and get 30 touches every week, but he realises that's kind of not necessary for him. Like, he allows us to get in there and develop, and whilst he goes forward, and he kicks a lot of goals, but he doesn't necessarily always get the accolades per se. So yeah, he's amazing to play with.
Second on the ladder now at this round 14 part of the season. A pretty healthy list. Do you feel like this group is as well placed as ever for an assault on the flag?
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, I mean, with Bailey in the side, probably a better team than last year. So hopefully we can keep going and keep putting it together. And yeah, you don't want to jinx it. I got in trouble for saying we played finals last week, so not in trouble, but the boys weren't happy with me. So good to win tonight. It would have been a bad omen, but yeah.
Just take it 1 week at a time. Well done. Things are going nicely. Go and enjoy it with the boys.
Yeah, thank you.
Well done to Sarah and Max. Doesn't cop it from me, Bailey Smith, Chief. You turn up, you love watching him play. You mentioned, Gary, when you come to the ground, the running he does to get those possessions. Yeah, the crowd's lining up for selfies with him. He'll be front and centre next week with Danger playing 350 at home. This bloke, he's holding up the Bailey Smith in the Dogs poster. I'm not sure if it's a positive or not.
Interesting.
Yeah, let's see if he signs it on the way down, Bailey. What's he got for us? There he goes. Let's see if he notices. Old mate's putting him right in front of his face. He gives him the thumbs up. And that's what he brings. He brings entertainment. Jason, love watching him play.
As long as it was a thumb, Howie, that's the important thing. I think it was.
Can't get fined for that too.
It wasn't quite the right colours, but gee, they're a powerful club, aren't they? And they are particularly well placed. As Sarah talked to Max Holmes about that, they are very well placed to build throughout the second half of this season, manage the players in terms of their workload and get ready for a big September campaign.
Let's hope there's no holes in the road on the freeway down to Community Park next Friday night.
Don't go there. For those that live in that part of the world, do not go there.
It's just for you. Now, performance by the Cats.
Next Friday night, those little large.
Yeah, and right now, they will not look any further forward than next Friday night.
No, and they've got a Brisbane Lions team that just find themselves on
A couple of losses in a row.
Yeah, not a massive slump, but this is their next 4 weeks. So they would, yeah, exactly, Jason.
They won't even think of the bye, guys. Just next week.
Halfway through the last quarter,
They had all the kids here singing the song last week. It looks like it's only a select few this week that are going to be there. But the Cats, from start to finish, a 95-point win, made it 5 wins in a row, 8 in a row against Essendon. They win by 95 points. They have beaten the Bombers by a country mile.
Toyota Tundra, remarkable power, undeniable presence. David King, Jack Rewalt, Jay Clark. That is such an impressive and dominant win.
All right, folks, there we go. It was the Catters absolutely destroying the Bombers today. 23 goals, 13, 151. Wowee. The Bombers 8-8, 56. Of course, the Catters putting on 7 goals, 5. It was a scoring spree from the Catters again in that final term. The Bombers, 1 behind. Wowee. 28-8, 176. I don't know. They pretty well could have. They could have. There was a couple of look. There were shots missed for both sides, but look, for the Bombers, they tried their best for the first 3 quarters, but then you know what? They just gave up the ghost in the final term. It was just all too much for the Bombers. Of course, Geelong playing probably as good as you'll see the Catters play. And of course, Bailey Smith ended up with 41 possessions off the ground for the last like 6 or 7 minutes. They probably thought that'll do. Let's just rest the star midfielder there for the Catters. But what a fantastic effort for the Cats! I tell you what. They are shaping up to be, well, what looks like a real contender. We'll certainly find out next week when they play Brisbane Lions at GMHBA Stadium. That'll be definitely a lot better test for the Catters next week, but certainly looking good now. Going second on the ladder, picking up some good percentage from that win tonight. I'll tell you what, there was a lot of good players. Pretty much all the players were pretty good for Geelong tonight. I know you can say Bailey Smith. He kicked He had 41 possessions. You can probably say Cameron, he kicked 6. There was Neil, who kicked about 4. But look, every player stepped up for the Cats tonight, did their role. And this is why Geelong is such a good, well-drilled outfit, because each and every player stand up, does their role week in, week out, and puts in performances like that. That was A+ performance from the Cats this evening. All right, let's go and have a look at the goal scorers. There we go. Jeremy Cameron, I think he leaves the Coleman, doesn't he? He kicked 6, so he added 6 to his tally this evening. Shannon Neal with 4, Manor with 3, Dempsey 2, Dangerfield 2. Lots of multiple goal scorers there for the Putty Cats. Stengel, Stanley, Myers, Humphreys, Holmes, Brad Close. All singles. They probably should have reversed and got their backs down forward. Maybe they could have got a goal as well. Just about everyone for the Cats kicked a goal tonight. All right. For the Bombers, Peter Wright kicked 2 with Golfy, Archie Roberts with 1, Kako, Gresham, Dersma. Let's go and have a look at the stats. And of course, we know Bailey Smith and Max Holmes, they're always going to top the table. Geez, don't they get some possessions, the boys? 41 for Bailey Smith, 28 kicks, 13 handballs, 7 marks, 2 tackles, 6 clearances, 760 metres gain. Don't forget, he was off the ground for probably the last 7 minutes. Max Home, next best, 36 touches, 25 kicks, 11 handballs, 4 marks, 4 tackles, 8 clearances, 873 metres gain, kicked a goal. Oh, geez, I tell you what. It'd be super nice to have these, to have these lads in your team, Geelong. I tell you what, you got some stars in your side. Surprisingly enough, probably the next 8 players, all from the Bombers, with the leading disposals. Settlefield 31, Merritt 29 with Johnson 29. There we go. Let's just roll down a little bit. Darcy Parish 26. We want to get down. Tommy Stewart ended up with 23 touches. Where's the player you were saying? Jack Martin. There we go. Jack Martin ended up with 15 touches, 11 kicks, 4 handballs, 10 marks, 1 tackle, 1 clearances. Obviously doesn't run a great deal. 180 metres gained for him on the game tonight. But I tell you what, just so clean, so crisp and so pure were the Cats tonight. Paddy Dangerfield, as I said, ended up with 2 goals, 1 from his 11 disposals, 218 metres gained. Really good to see him get into the game, especially in that second half for the mighty Paddy Dangerfield. Disposal, team stats. Well, it was the Bombers by 12 overall in team stats. The Cats were plus 52. The Bombers plus 64 in the handballs. Inside 50s. Well, the Cats absolutely dominated after the second half. 38 to the Bombers, 63 to the Catters. Fantastic. A lot of inside 50s, and of course the efficiency inside 50. They maintained a high number there, the Catters at 58%. Free kicks, it wasn't too bad actually, reasonably good. Clean game, well umpired, 13 to 16. Not much happening there. The Bombers in the stoppages on top by 9, clearances by 2. Stoppage clearances by 12, and of course centre clearances where Holmes and of course Smith getting on top. 19 to 9 plus 10 to the Cats there. Contested possessions pretty close there, as were the uncontested. As I said, both teams contested the ball pretty well today. Just high turnover from the Bombers today. They were plus 14 in the turnovers and a little bit above average. There we go. The Cats are just pinpointing their opposition, their teammates really well in the marking. And looking at the inside 50 marks, just the 7 to the Bombers. They struggled with that, but the Cats, they just made space. They just their forwards work really well. Of course, the ball coming inside their forward 50 was delivered lace out. 21 marks inside 50 were fantastic. Looking at the tackles now, all tackles similar, 50-51, but the tackles inside 50, at least the Bombers improved. They were 0 at halftime. 4 tackles after halftime inside forward 50 for the Bombers, and the Catters 13. Nice to put that pressure on. Let me see if this reloads up. There we go. It's reloaded up now after tonight's Victory from the Geelong Cards. They go up to second on the ladder after playing 14 games. Of course, Collingwood still got one game in hand to play. They go to 40 points, 10 wins, 4 losses, 133.8. Picked up some nice percentage there. Sir M. King picked up some nice percentage. They now got the third best percentage in the competition. Well, for Essendon, I tell you what, it's still a possibility that they can get into the top 8, but it's going to be a real struggle in the back half of this season. They're a game plus big percentage, so it's pretty much 2 games outside of the top 8 are the Bombers. I tell you what, it's going to be very difficult. I think the Bombers are still a few years off, really vying a spot for top 8, top 4 position for the Bombers. But what a fantastic, just a pure effort from the Cats. If you ever want to see your team play the way you want to see a team play, then Geelong was a team to watch tonight because they were flawless. They were fantastic. I tell you what, a few happy Geelong supporters out there tonight. Let's just have a look at, we did have that poll in there. 71% did say Geelong were going to win. You're spot on. But what a fantastic, hey, thanks everyone for coming in, by the way. And don't forget, in about 15 minutes time, we're going to head on over to the next game. North Melbourne take on the Fremantle Dockers. That's happening over there at Optus Stadium in Perth. That's right, folks, you heard me. That's actually happening at Optus Stadium in Perth, at Dockers' home ground. But it's a North Melbourne home game. North Melbourne seem to be selling out a lot of their home games. There we go. A little bit strange, but I think they need money in the bank, so that's what they're doing. There we go. Thanks again, man. Cats just too good. I tell you what, Cats weren't just too good. Cats were absolutely elite tonight. And it certainly shows their decision-making that their players can do, and just the composure with the ball when they do it. These are the good sides, and they can do that. And this is what takes them a long way in to the end of September, to the big dance right at the end. I think, as you were saying in the chat before, I think Geelong are a little bit like Collingwood. They got those couple of older players, and I think that's pretty good with a good run home. They can really go to work on their plan now, is when they want to, manage some of those players, just give them that extra week off prior to, the lead in. Maybe they want to give them a week off here and a week off in another 4 weeks, and then take them right into the finals, let them play a couple of weeks prior to the finals, and then the big onslaught there comes to town. So it should be just fantastic. But I tell you what, you're looking good, Geelong. You're looking good. Going into the second half of the year, I tell you what, ring-a-ding-ding, Geelong Cats, you are just fantastic. There we go. I just don't know who's going to play in the grand final v Collingwood. Is it going to be Geelong, or is it going to be the Western Bulldogs? So I think maybe they are the two sides this year that could possibly challenge Collingwood, Geelong, or the Western Bulldogs. A little bit strange, you might say, the Bulldogs. I know, but tell you what, with Sam Darcy back, they're a force to be reckoned with. So they're probably the 3 teams, Brisbane dropping off a bit lately. And they just look a little bit, they're just not quite the same without Joey Danaher down forward. And, of course, that's certainly telling this year in some of the games that they've been playing the Brisbane Lions. But for the Bombers, well, I tell you what, folks, I'm just trying to bring up the fixture. The Bombers next week, I tell you what, it's no easier assignment next week for the Bombers, because the Bombers have to travel over to Perth, Optus Stadium. They'll play Fremantle next Thursday night. So it's going to be a tough trip over there. And, of course, after a grueling day game against the Cats today, it should be an interesting match. Certainly, they'll have a bit better chance against the Dockers over there. And, of course, Friday night football, massive game. Geelong taking on the Brisbane Lions, GMHBA Stadium. So next Thursday, Friday night football, you got Essendon and Geelong playing. It should be fantastic. Should be really interesting games. 100% should be really, really good. Looking forward to that. Hey, folks, thanks for coming in. That's all I've got, though, for this one. So I'll say ciao for now. We'll see you at the next game. And of course, the next game is coming up in around about 10 minutes time, 10 to 12 minutes time, where we're going to jump on over to the next live and we're going to broadcast and listen to and have a chat and all that type of thing. The next match, North Melbourne taking on the Fremantle Dockers over there in Perth. So hopefully we'll see you over at that one. But until next time, ciao for now. We'll see you at the next game. And thanks everyone for popping on in.